a place where NASCAR drivers fight just to stay in the middle of the road. Emerging from his dad's image, Dale Earnhardt Jr. won his first Busch Series Grand National race here last year en route to the points championship. Today he tries for a repeat performance, but the points leader, Matt Kenseth, heads the field, hungry for victory at Texas Motor Speedway. It's the Coca-Cola 300 next.
Reconfigured mile-and-a-half Texas Motor Speedway that greets one of the largest gatherings ever for a Busch Series Grand National race. Over 100,000 expected today, braving a day that has seen temperatures tumble from the 80s yesterday afternoon to 50s at this hour. And the skies, they don't augur for too much success at the present time, although it's stopped raining. The weather itself, it's going to be an issue for the third year in a row as we come to Texas Motor Speedway with this 200-lap, 300-mile, $1 million race. All the drivers are lined up, 43 strong. And let's go to Ralph Shaheen down in the garage area as the drivers await this start.
All right, Ken Squires, thank you. Everybody down here fighting to stay out of the wet weather. We caught up with a couple of the big names of the Busch Grand National Series, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Matt Kenseth. And Matt, let's start with you. You two found each other the other day in a little bit of an incident out on the racetrack. What happened?
Yeah, we run into each other. There was just a car dropping off into the pits, and Dale was waiting for me. We were going to make some race runs together, and when I went outside of him, he really didn't see me, and plus the car hit the brakes real hard in front of him without pulling on the apron first, and he didn't have anywhere to go but right, and I was already there, so we just kind of scraped sides.
Let's check in with Earnhardt Jr. over here now. You've had a pretty aggressive season to begin with already, and this is a racetrack where you got your first win. How do you feel about coming into this facility once again, and now with wet weather in the forecast?
Well, the car drives pretty good, but everybody else seems to pick up, or has picked up a lot more since last year. They changed the racetrack, and it's as comfortable, if not more so, than it was last year. So we're having a lot of fun. I just hope the race, get started here shortly because I'm ready to go.
Let's check in with Dick Berggren.
And I'm with Mark Barton. He surely is one of the favorites to win this event. When, and I too mean when, not if, we get this race underway this afternoon. Mark has led all 5 of the Busch Series races so far this year, starting on the outside of the front row. Brand new racetrack. What's this place like to run on?
It's really nice. They've done a really good job configuring the turns, the banking, and everything, and it's nice. I look forward to it.
But it's so reconfigured that everybody has run downstairs, and all the practice and all the qualifying, that outside groove hasn't been worked in yet. That's where you start. What's going to happen when you guys dive into the first turn? That's unknown territory.
I'm going to go backwards, find me a place to get in. As the race goes on, the groove will widen, and the more races, the more years we start coming down here, the more the racetrack will spread out. But for right now, there's only one groove.
And that guy's got a real good car to run that one groove. To Bill Stevens.
Randy LaJoie, the 2-time series champion, won the first Busch race of the year in Daytona. Last couple of races have been a little rough on you, but you're anxious to get this thing going.
Yeah, I know. We can't mess with Mother Nature, and our performances have been really good, and we just haven't had good finishes last couple of races. But running well here. We had a little trouble first round qualifying. Second round, probably would have put us about 6th or 7th in the field. Car's real good in the last practice, and Mother Nature give us a break. We want to put on a good show.
You finished 6th last year. Track going to be good to you this year, you think?
Oh, they did a fine job with this racetrack. We did it. They say it's similar to Atlanta, but this is Atlanta with an attitude. It's got its own personality, and it's pretty tricky, and it's pretty fast.
Let's go back to Ralph.
Thank you, Bill. I've caught up with the man who is starting on the pole for the second time in 1999, Dave Blaney in the Amoco car. Now, Dave, how is turn 2? We've seen a lot of problems over there this week, and it's collected a lot of cars during practice.
Well, it's the trickiest part of the track, no doubt. They've got it to work so fast, off 4 and into 1. You're going so fast over there in 2. It's hard to slow down. I mean, there's room off there if the bank falls off quick, and if you're on the bottom and you're working good, it's no big problem. But if you're up a lane and you're going so fast, like I said, you don't want to lift. But if you don't, it can get you in a hurry. And to me, it's almost like an optical illusion to me. You don't think you're close, you don't think you're close, and all of a sudden you are. But
well, congratulations on your second pole of the year to Ken Squire.
8 of the first 9 incidents. Day 1 of practice for Grand National, all there in turn 2. Hello, everyone. Ken Squire. A moment or two ago, we thought, hey, this thing's over, and we're going to go racing again. Weather is an iffy situation here, as it has been the last 2 years. But they're hoping to get this one in. Every indication is they will this afternoon. This, the prelude to the Great Texas 500 tomorrow, which you'll be seeing here on CBS. The speeds are up. The track is different. It's going to be an action-packed weekend right here on CBS, along with, of course, the Final Four. Stay with us. We'll be right back to Texas Motor Speedway in just a moment.
CBS Sports coverage of the Coca-Cola 300 is sponsored by Coca-Cola. Always for the fans, always Coca-Cola, the official soft drink of NASCAR. Goodyear, innovators of run-flat technology. And by Exide NASCAR Select, the official automotive battery of NASCAR.
Breeze blowing. Those jets are working the track at the present time. We're getting ready to go racing. Busch Grand National. Now let's go to the guys who are going to call the race for you today. Standing by, Ned Jarrett, Buddy Baker with Mike Joy.
Thanks, Ken, and hello, everyone. About 15 minutes ago, it started raining, and about 8 minutes ago, it stopped. So it's very variable weather here in Texas. So has been the racing in this series. In the 5 races so far in this year's NASCAR Busch Series, 5 different winners, and out of a potential 25 different top 5 finishers, 19 different drivers have one top 5 finish this year. So it's tremendously competitive. And next Saturday on CBS, you'll see at Nashville on a non-Winston Cup weekend on a slam-bang short track, the Nashville 320 with these same Busch Series drivers. Well, competitive series, very different racetrack than what we saw here last March. They have widened the approach out of into turn 1 and the exit of turn 4. So Buddy Baker, winner of the fastest Daytona 500 in history and the flattest foot on the floor driver I've ever seen, what does that mean to the way you drive this track?
Well, the biggest thing that I've noticed is they carry so much more speed through turns 3 and 4. Last year it was bumpy through there, much smoother. They changed the radius getting out on the front straightaway. You're running 8 to 9 miles an hour faster down the front straightaway into a very smooth turn 1. All of a sudden you're on turn 2, and you hear the drivers talk about how dangerous it is getting out of that corner. You look down, you look back up, and you're in the wall.
Well, last year this track was very competitive. I'll turn to Ned Jarrett, 2-time Grand National champion and our CBS race strategist. With the new configuration, how competitive will this track be?
Well, Mike, it should be more competitive than it was before, because the drivers were saying last year and the first year they ran here at the Texas Motor Speedway that it felt like they were driving into a tunnel, going into turn 1. It really narrowed down so much there. You couldn't go in there side by side. We expect them, after, as Mark Martin says, as they run more on this racetrack, they'll be able to widen the groove and see a lot of side-by-side racing. But one thing that will keep them from doing that in the early going is the fact that they're running so fast when they get into that turn.
The jet dryers are working up in turn 3 of this great mile-and-a-half super speedway, and the track is not terribly wet. It shouldn't be too long before we're ready to start this race. Let's go back down trackside to Ralph Shaheen.
Oh, Mike, well, Jeff's in a good mood. Jeff Gordon here with me. He's playing with me, walking up and down the transporter here, just teasing with us. Okay, I can tell you're in a good mood. Does that mean you're learning stuff from this Busch car to get you ready for the Cup car tomorrow? Because you have not run real well here in the Cup car.
I don't know if it's really going to help us out a whole lot. You know, you do have to drive the Busch cars a lot different. With less horsepower, you got to run really, really hard in and through the corners. So the car's got to be just right. But, you know, things so far have been going real well for us, Busch race car and Winston Cup, and we're qualified up in the top 10. And I just want to, want this rain to stop and see what kind of race we're going to have here.
You know, there's been a lot of talk lately about maybe too many Cup guys running in the Busch Series and so forth. You're going to do 5 races this year. How do you feel about that, being a Winston Cup driver in the Busch Series?
Well, I definitely, feel bad and feel like it's unfortunate that some of these, races where we get so many Cup guys that a lot of the Busch regulars are going home. But at the same time, I realize that we're bringing a lot of attention to the Busch Series. We're bringing some sponsors into this event. And what I would like to see is that this turns into a full Busch program where one of these young up-and-coming drivers can get behind the wheel of a really good full-time Busch program, similar to what Earnhardt has over there, and have a good sponsor. So to me, that we're trying to bring something in here that's going to offer more to the Busch Series, not take anything away from it.
If anybody would know, it's Jeff. He came up through the Busch Series. He's seen it from both sides of the fence. To Bill Stevens.
I'm with Joe Nemechek. Last year, you might remember, if you saw this race, that Dale Earnhardt Jr. made a daring pass on the last lap to get around this guy. You able to keep down solid food yet?
No, I can. Last year, I give Dale Jr. credit. They came in and put tires on with 10 to go, and we were leading, and they caught me with about 3 to go, and they got by me. It's just nothing I could do. I can't say enough. Our whole Bell South Mobility, Nokia Chevy is running good. And, we had a bad qualifying effort, but we're really strong in last practice. So I'm looking forward to today.
Let's go to Dick Berggren.
And I'm with 18-year-old Adam Petty, son of Kyle Petty, grandson of King Richard Petty, and great-grandson of Lee Petty. 18 years old, you're going to start this thing in third spot. How bad are the butterflies right now?
Well, I sure wish the rain would go away. I'll tell you what, this reminds me about the memory of Atlanta or something like that. And you think you come to Texas and you have nice weather? I don't think so. It's going to rain all day. I think so.
So many accidents leading up to this event. 16 different cars have wrecked. A rookie driver going into this thing, what goes on in your mind?
Well, I can't really complain about the racetrack where, a lot of guys have wrecks, but I'm 18 out here having a ball running around this place, and, it's a great facility, and Eddie Gossage and Bruton Smith have done a great job on it, and I'll tell you what, we were really good in happy hour yesterday, and the car was pretty stable after a long run, so I'm looking forward to going out there and running today.
And remember the great run he had at Daytona where he finished 6th. To Ken Squire.
One of 30 NASCAR Grand National regulars who's up against 13 Winston Cup stars here today. We get down to this 300-miler. Rain's coming in again. We'll be back in a moment.
A little bit of a light rain continues to fall here at Texas Motor Speedway, awaiting the start of this Coca-Cola 300. Let's go back down to the garage. Ralph Shaheen.
Mike, I'm standing by with Terry Labonte. Now, Terry, your brother, Bobby, got hurt in a Busch car, and it can put a damper on your Winston Cup career. Do you still feel like it's worth it as a Winston Cup driver to try this on?
Well, when you look at that, what happened to Bobby, that kind of makes you think twice about it, and so I don't know. Things like that can happen, anytime, and you don't know about it. But, they were lucky that, Matt got in the car and did a good job for him, so it didn't really hurt him in the point standings.
Now, you went testing with your son Justin last week in Nashville. He's going to be making his Busch Grand National debut next week in Nashville, which everybody can see live on CBS. What did you find in Nashville testing with him? You getting to be a nervous dad?
I was there for one day, and then they ran 2 days. So, he looked like he ran pretty good to me, and so they said they ran better the second day. More of the competition is just so tough, and there's a lot of good teams going to be at Nashville. So one of the reasons we've been running the car is to try to get our team as good as we can get it before I put him in the car, because I know how important your equipment can be, and I didn't really want to put him in a car that wasn't up to par. So we've worked hard on this team, and we've got Slim Jim as our sponsor, and everybody's done a really good job. And I think we're getting better. So we're going to let him run next weekend. Then I'm going to get back in the car. We're going to let him run some more down the road. So we're just going to wait and see.
To Bill Stevens.
Kevin LePage coming off that 5th-place finish in Darlington last week, and a little problem with qualifying here. Missed the package a little bit?
Yeah, we struggled a little bit the other day with the Red Man Monte Carlo, but, Dan Gibbs and all the guys never gave up, and we went second round yesterday, ended up being 28th. Running back and forth here was a pretty hectic weekend for me doing both deals, but, we got a pretty good race package, I think, in each car, and, Texas is, it's almost a track like Darlington, too tough to tame, so we're just going to have to be patient and work our way up through, and I think some good pit strategy. We should be there near the front at the end of the day.
Starting 23rd, some concerns about staying out of trouble?
Yeah, right now there's only about a lane and a lane and a half out there, so it's going to take a few laps for the second group to come in, and I hope it comes in early, but if not, again, we're just going to be patient and try to bring the Red Man Monte Carlo home in the top 10.
Let's go to Dick Berggren.
One of the senior drivers on the circuit, Randy LaJoie, just grabbed me by the elbow and said, "Hey, Dick, we're not going to have this thing rain out because there's too many kids here who really have to go to school on Monday." Well, one of those youngsters is 18-year-old Casey Atwood, who yesterday had the quickest time in the last practice session. What's the fear factor coming to a place like this that's so incredibly fast?
The main thing is right now there's just no second groove. If, the main concern with me right now is starting on the outside, and it's so slick up there, and plus with the rain, there's going to be no rubber. So, but as good as we was yesterday, I really want to get this thing dried up.
Now, Casey took a wild, wild ride at Daytona. He saw the white flag. He was running in second spot, and all of a sudden, a tap from the back, end over end, side over side. What did that do to he doesn't want to hear about any of this. What did that do to your mental attitude?
Well, it didn't really affect, the main thing is I didn't get hurt. I had one bruise over my left foot, so it was a wild ride. It looked a lot worse on TV than it actually felt in the car. All the blows were pretty soft, but I don't want to do it again. I mean, it didn't hurt, but I don't want to do it again.
How comfortable are you with this racetrack? A lot of the guys are saying they're having trouble finding the line. How about you?
I think I pretty much got it going now. In qualifying, I was still a little bit nervous about the track. Really didn't get a lot of laps before qualifying, and I made about 80 laps in a happy hour, so I really think I got the track going. Got to come from 18th. Just hope we can do it.
Watch this guy. He's one of the good ones. Mike Joy?
Dick, I think there are 4 drivers here that are under the age of 21 in the field for today's race, and a couple more that didn't make the show. A light rain, just about stopped for now. CBS Sports coverage of the 99 Coca-Cola 300 continues after this message and a word from your local CBS station. Tomorrow live on CBS Sports, the NASCAR Winston Cup Texas 500. Our pre-race coverage begins at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Yesterday afternoon, pole qualifying, Ken Bouchard from Fitchburg, Mass., former Rookie of the Year, loses control, and his Chevrolet goes into the wall. Bouchard sustained a concussion in this collision. Hard left side impact. And because Kenny was a pretty big boy, he goes about 260, so they had to cut the roof to take him out of the car, and because of traffic concerns, they did airlift him in a helicopter out to a hospital where he is recovering. Kenny Irwin will start on the pole for tomorrow's race. Alongside will be Bobby Labonte, Steve Park, third fastest qualifier for tomorrow's Winston Cup show. Look at the front row starters right there. Kenny Irwin and Bobby Labonte still nursing that shoulder. He will give way to Matt Kenseth early in the race. And a little bit of a topsy-turvy qualifying because the fastest driver in practice all weekend and today in practice, Jeffrey Bodine, had to run in the second round. He had an early draw here and was a second off the pace in first round qualifying, so he'll line up back in 26th position after being fastest in second round here today. Well, we have a different racetrack in configuration, but we also have a different racetrack now because of weather. Buddy, let's talk about yesterday's last practice and how things have changed since then.
Well, the weather turned off pretty cool right near the end of practice yesterday, and what had worked in the sunshine, all of a sudden these guys were finding did not work anymore when the track got cool. And, boy, we have a different condition now. We have a racetrack that's been cleaned by the rain, and also it's cool. So, Ned, that's going to be a real problem.
Yeah, it will be at the beginning, buddy. Certainly the difference in the temperature and the fact that the rain has washed what rubber was on the track off, I suspect it's going to make many cars very, very tight. And that means when they go into the turn, the front wheels aren't going to want to turn the way that they would like for them to.
Ned, the temperature difference will be a factor, but also how does no sunshine affect these cars? I mean, the difference between shade and full sun is dramatic.
Well, at most racetracks, it does make a difference in the setup of the chassis of a race car. When the sun is shining down on black asphalt, it makes it slicker. It seems to draw some of the fluids or something out that make up asphalt, the oils or whatever, and it makes it slicker. And when you don't have that sunshine, you don't have that. And of course, the race surface itself is much cooler, and that makes the tires adhere to the asphalt much better, and that's why you need a different chassis setup for that condition as opposed to when the sun is shining.
And what these drivers will face right now with the rain this morning is once this race is started, the cars are on the line, they are covered under tarps, and the teams will not have a chance to change the spring, shock absorber, and sway bar package that's in the suspension of these cars before they drop the green flag. Let's go trackside to Dick Berggren.
And I'm with Jeff Green, who won the pole for the very first ever Busch Series race here in Texas. With all the construction, how has this place changed?
It's a lot better. They give us more bank getting in the corner over here in one and a little bit more bank off four, so I feel like we'll be able to race a little bit better. I don't know if we'll have a two-groove racetrack right now, but hopefully by the end of this week, and Mother Nature help us out a little bit, we'll get this race into there. Kleenex Chevrolet's running really well, Dick, and want to race today.
Yep.
Terrell Shaheen.
I'm standing with Elton Sawyer, who's going to start 29th today once we get the race underway, but a second-place finish for you last week at Darlington, South Carolina. How come such a good run?
Well, a great effort for the whole Lysol Tars team. Kind of turned a negative into a positive there. We got an accident about 30-some laps into the race, got spun, and we just put our new tires on, so we only get 3 sets, so we had to run about 20 more laps on that set of tires, which we really didn't want to have to do, but circumstances made us do that. And caution came out, and then we got our brand new set of tires and were able to stay out on that long run and felt like we had a good top 10 car, but the cards fell so we could finish second.
You and your teammate, Glenn Allen, are running Roush engines. How much of an important part to your efforts this year is that?
Well, it's an element we don't even have to deal with. The engine that I ran last week in the Lysol Taurus was the same engine that Mark ran in the Winn-Dixie Ford at Rockingham and finished second. So I guess that's the designated second-place engine. But we feel that when we show up every week, Jack's giving us great engines. Really appreciate that. Edgar, everyone over there is working hard. So Glenn and I, we just have to work on our race cars and get ready to move into a new 30,000 square foot building, put both teams in there, maybe get our aero package a little better, improve on our chassis program, and we feel like we'll be closer to where Mark and Jeff Burton are. They're extremely good, talented race car drivers, so Glenn and I have our work cut out for us.
Bill Stevens?
Todd Bodine was fastest in the second qualifying session, but he's frustrated because
we would have been second fastest overall. The first day, we unloaded Phillips 66 Monte Carlo. It was good right off the truck, and I just made a mistake qualifying first round. It's just an error, a rookie mistake I made, and it cost us big. And we went out second round. We made some adjustments that morning, got the car a lot better and a little bit better, and just went out and got a good lap. The car's been fast right off the truck, so we haven't had too much to complain about.
We get going here after the rain. What kind of racetrack do you think you're going to find out there?
That's a good question. I've been talking to some of the Cup drivers because, the clouds had come in this morning and the racetrack was going to be different, we felt like, even from yesterday, which was in the sunshine. They said that it didn't change a whole lot. It was a little bit slicker, but they said they put Speedy Dry down, so hopefully the racetrack will be about the same. There's no telling. It's a new surface. We haven't raced on it a whole lot, so you don't know what it's going to do. I think most of all, it's going to probably clean the track off a little bit, maybe give us a little more grip. We'll just have to see, but Phillips 66 car's running great.
Wait and see. We'll hear a lot of that today, Mike Joy.
Now, Todd's 35 years old. That's about the average age of the drivers in this field. 4 are under 25, and a dozen drivers in this race are over 40. We'll be back to the Coca-Cola 300 here at Texas Motor Speedway on CBS Sports after this. We are going racing here shortly in Texas, but coming up next, CBS Sports will present the biggest day in college basketball with the men's Final Four. It all starts with the Final Four show and then Game 1, where Scooney Penn and the Ohio State Buckeyes take on Khalid El-Amin and the UConn Huskies. In the nightcap, Duke Blue Devils against the Michigan State Spartans. That's all coming up next. Welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway. Mike Joy with Buddy Baker and Ned Jarrett, flying high above the Texas Motor Speedway, the Bud 1 airship. To all you racing fans, this Bud's for you. And the skies are clearing.
Yay!
NASCAR estimates that we're about 20 minutes away from a green flag. They have about 20 support vehicles out touring the speedway, including the jet dryers, trying to get as much heat into the racetrack as possible because the slick tires on these cars won't tolerate a wet surface. So as we wait to go racing here in Texas in about 20 minutes or so, let's have a look back at some of the action from last year's Coca-Cola 300 NASCAR Busch race here at the Texas Motor Speedway.
Is sponsored by Coca-Cola. Always for the fans, always Coca-Cola, the official soft drink of NASCAR. Nike. And by Smooth Busch Beer and easy drinking Busch Light. Busch, the official sponsor of the NASCAR Busch Series.
Welcome back live to the Texas Motor Speedway. Tuesday night on CBS. Imagine meeting the most beautiful woman you've ever seen. A light rain has once again begun to fall here, thwarting track drying efforts at the Texas Motor Speedway. About 20 vehicles continue to circulate the track, including 3 jet dryers, so that once those umbrellas are folded up it wouldn't be too long before we're able to run this race. But drying efforts continue. Joining me here in the CBS booth is Mike Kelton, Senior Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of NASCAR. You're not a weatherman, you just play one on TV here, but what are we looking at this afternoon?
Well, it's not a hard torrential front of any sorts like we've had in a couple of races earlier this year, but it's a weather environment that comes and goes. And while it's not a hard enough rain to clear everybody out of the grandstand, it has been one that by the time we start seeing the drive and the track coming up to us, it rains again and wipes all that work back out. But
now, this is one of the most brightly lit tracks in the entire world. Will you take this show and into the evening and well into the evening hours if need be to run it?
If we think that we can get it done in a timely manner and that it requires going in to the point to where we need to turn the lights on, Texas Motor Speedway has that option, and we'll certainly look at using it.
All right, well, hopefully that won't be the case, but we could be here well into the evening hours to get this race completed. That is the goal of everyone, to complete the Coca-Cola 300 this afternoon. Thanks for joining us, Mike. Earlier this morning, Darrell Waltrip made the qualifying round. Now, he has qualified on past champions provisionals and needed, though, to race his way into the show today here because he's out of provisional spots. Did he make it? Here's Ken Squire.
Indeed he did. 32nd qualifying position. I've known old DW since back in 1972, and I can't think, I've seen him hurt a few times, but as far as a precarious situation, perilous moments for your career, this is as close as it's come.
Well, today was one of those times when you got to reach down inside and say, can I do this? There's certainly enough people around questioning that fact. I've taken a provisional quite a bit. The provisional rule is a great rule, and I'm glad they have it, and it's served a very useful purpose. But just could have, in fact, been my Achilles heel because I believe I'd become so comfortable knowing I had that going for me that I didn't really step up to the plate every week and qualify.
And you were out of that opportunity this time. It was either make it or take the car home.
It was. It's a lot like the NCAA tournament right now. One bad game and you're out. I'm standing on the line. If I hit this free throw, we win. If I don't, we go home.
And yesterday, he hit it in the morning. He was 27th quickest. And then when it came to qualifying, it showed up 41st, and that would have been OUT.
Yeah, it would have. Well, everything was going against us. We had a bad draw. We went out early. The track wasn't very good and didn't qualify well yesterday.
And it was oiled over.
They had a crash, and a bunch of cars just didn't go fast. And we come out this morning and said, don't worry, we'll get them this morning. Had an engine problem. And we didn't get any practice. We just dropped in another engine and went and qualified. I knew of all those 30 years I've been doing this, I said, now I've got to reach down inside and pull something out because otherwise I'll be going home.
What about this racetrack as we get ready for this $4 million event tomorrow, DW?
Well, they've helped the racetrack. A lot of drivers were very critical of this racetrack, particularly the Turn 1 area. Well, they have fixed that. And we've seen a lot of trouble off of Turn 2 this week. And you know why? They fixed Turn 1 too good. You get into Turn 1 so fast now with such good transition, and you pick the throttle up so early that you're carrying a lot of speed off of 2. Cars are hitting the wall over there off that corner. But other than that, and that's not a fault of the racetrack, that's just the way racetracks are. I like it. They've done a great job of fixing everything that we complained about. This should be a great race. 500 miles here should be very exciting, and today's race will be fun too.
Now, here's the big question. Knowing what a big basketball fan you are, now let me ask you: Are you going to go down and see the big show on Monday night?
Well, I was, and then my Wildcats got beat, and I don't want to go watch Duke demoralize somebody, so I guess I won't be going.
You are such a poor loser. That's it from Darrell Waltrip, who was in the show starting 32nd tomorrow here in the Texas 500. Stay with us for more here on CBS.
For complete coverage from Texas Motor Speedway with in-depth driver bios, standings, and lots more, go to cbs.sportsline.com or on America Online, enter keyword CBS Sportsline. Welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway. Track drying efforts continue. You see a few umbrellas there in the grandstand. Now they have mostly been put away, but about every 10 minutes or so we get another pesky little rain shower come through. There's some bright spots and some dark clouds on the horizon, but NASCAR and the Speedway officials continue to do everything they can to keep heat into the racetrack by circulating vehicles and those jet dryers so that we can get a start here as soon as possible. There's some of the equipment at work Not quite the 190-mile-an-hour machines. Interesting spoiler, though, on that one, as they try to keep the track apron and the pit road entrance dry as well. Those are jet helicopter engines converted for use as track dryers. Working high up in the corner. Down in turn 2. Let's go down to the garage where hopefully it's a little drier. Dick Berggren.
Well, it's a little drier underneath these trucks where we're standing, Mike, but it's still fairly wet outside. These cars are so close. NASCAR's got the rules in such a way that the cars are very, very close, very, very competitive. So weather has an impact. What do you guys do in order to make sure that you take the best advantage of the weather situation, Jeff Burton?
Well, weather has a huge impact in the way these cars drive and the way they handle. We made 3 spring changes, 2 shock changes, changed the front sway bar, and then we moved the track bar, and those are huge changes to make before a race. But the track's gonna be a lot different than we've been, and we weren't as good as we needed to be anyway, so we made some changes.
Now, guys are telling me they're running pretty close to wide open. How are you going to go wide open in a situation like that where you've changed your race car so much?
Well, let's clarify something. A lot of those wrecks happen because somebody tells their buddy they can run wide open, and then somebody goes and tries to run wide open, and it doesn't happen. Wide open means you never lift, and that doesn't happen often. You can run here and never get all the way out of the gas, but it's real difficult to run here and completely stay wide open.
You can be guaranteed this guy's going to be fast, at least, even if not wide open. Terrell Shaheen.
Mike McLaughlin will start 24th when the race gets underway here at Texas. And, Mike, what do you do while it's raining like this to keep yourself mentally prepared to get into that race car and go racing at 180 miles an hour?
Talked to a bunch of friends I haven't seen in a while here from Texas. We've got some friends here from ML, Eddie, and I haven't seen them in a while, so we've been having catching up on old times.
How about mentally? Is it really draining on you to be so up just as you were walking out, and then the rain starts to come down and you have to get yourself picked back up again?
Yeah, I mean, I try not to let it. I mean, you can't control it, so within a half an hour of going back to racing, you'll take a little time and regroup and get ready to roll. I think we've got a good car. Got a lot of support from Gould's Pumps, ITT, and Little Tree, our associates, and I want to say hello to everybody that supports us.
Well, I saw the hospitality van just show up and unload a whole bunch of food, so I know one of the things Mike's going to go do is eat well. Bill?
With Mike Skinner, who's qualified 33rd, and once we get racing, you feel a whole lot better about your race day setup than you do about the qualifying package.
We really do. The Yellow Freight Chevrolet was really good in happy hour last night. We're starting back in an awful tough place, but if we can, kind of miss anything that comes up through the pack there on us and, get a couple of good pit stops. We got the 31 team pitting us today, so we should have great pit stops, and hopefully we can get that thing a little closer to the front.
How much will the race today help you for the race tomorrow? You've qualified 23rd in the Cup race.
Well, I don't know if it really will a lot here at Texas because we were able to take our Lowe's Chevrolet this morning to make 2 very long runs. So we learned a little bit about what we thought. We usually use the Busch car to learn on our own this morning. Our car was pretty good, so we didn't have to really throw a lot of things at it. It enabled us to go out there and make long, long runs. So we're pretty happy with the 31 car. Our Lowe's car's running really good. Yellow Freight's car running pretty good. Both of them was pretty disappointing qualifying runs, but I think we got good race cars for the race.
Back upstairs to Mike.
Well, it may translate to Sunday. Every Winston Cup race winner this year is a driver who does compete, at least occasionally, in those Saturday races in the Busch Series. Track drying efforts continue here at the Texas Motor Speedway. We'll be right back. Raymond at a special time, followed by the King of Queens, except on the West Coast. That's Monday on CBS. Well, the souvenir trailers are doing a land office business here as folks wait out the rain delay for the Coca-Cola 300 Busch race. We've not been able to start the race due to pesky showers. The track would get dry, and then it would rain down just a little bit ago. Mike Joy with Buddy Baker and Ned Jarrett. Now, Jeff Burton told a story a bit ago about getting advice about running wide open all the way around this racetrack. Buddy Baker, first time on a 1-mile track, and you got some good advice.
I did. I went to the greatest dirt driver of that time, Curtis Turner, and I said, "Where are you backing off?" Not realizing that I'd only run 1 race in my life on dirt. When I got to that point, I might as well held it wide open. I went through the fence so fast they didn't miss me for 15 minutes.
What did he say afterward?
He said, "Son, when I tell you where I'm backing off, you go about 200 yards back up the racetrack.
Ned, do you have a story like that?
Well, I never went to anybody for advice and asked him when you'd back off because I figured I'd get the wrong answer and put me into the wall. So I didn't do that, but certainly got into the fence a lot of times.
Well, I didn't get a bad answer. I didn't have the driving experience to go that deep into the race corner. And I tell you what, there were people running. I could see them in the mirror as I was backing out of that place. They were running, trying to get out of the way. And luckily, by that time, I slowed up enough, everybody got to dive to safety. But I learned a lesson there. You run what you can run, not what someone else can run.
Wait for Buddy's book. Got to write all those stories one of these days.
All right, in the garage area right now, what are these crew chiefs thinking about with a wet racetrack that's going to be green when it dries, with no rubber laid down on it, with the change in temperature and weather from last night? And they can't touch these cars. They've been through NASCAR inspection. They're rolled out on the line. They've got to go racing. What kind of adjustments will they be looking to make once this race starts?
Mike, most of the time they will build adjustments into the cars, and that is they'll put spring rubbers in the springs that they can remove, or of course they can always put them in, and that makes a huge difference in the spring rate. And they can do the same thing as far as adjusting sway bars. They can't change the sway bar, but they certainly have a lot of adjustments on it. So there are adjustments that are built in that they can make for changing conditions.
Buddy, does the driver have to adjust?
Well, the first thing he has to do is not ask anybody where to back off. But after you do that, one thing you have to remember, when you put these adjustments into the springs to make them stiffer, when you pull them out, if you jerk two of them out, you better know what rate that is, because it can make it extremely difficult to get in the corners, making it loose getting in, because you make the turning wheels a little softer and it'll throw the back end around. So you have to be careful how you readjust.
So weather is the story here, not just to get this race started, but also how the cars and the drivers will react to a new racetrack once we do get started. We'll be back with the Coca-Cola 300 and continuing coverage here from Texas Motor Speedway after this. Sports will be right back here at the Texas Motor Speedway. The NASCAR Winston Cup stars compete in the Texas 500, third annual running, and our pre-race coverage begins at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Yesterday afternoon, topsy-turvy qualifying. Some drivers that had fast practice speeds did not have optimum track conditions, and it ended up being Kenny Irwin in the Robert Yates Ford, earning his second career pole at a record 190.154 miles per hour. With the reconfigured Turn 1 and Turn 4, Irwin broke the track record by 5 miles an hour. He and Bobby Labonte in the Joe Gibbs Pontiac will share the front row. Let's meet the pole sitter for tomorrow's race. Here's Dick Berggren.
And it was a wickedly fast lap that Kenny Irwin pulled. Hey, you were third at Daytona just 5 weeks ago. Is tomorrow Kenny Irwin's big day to win his first ever Winston Cup race?
I'd sure like to think so. We sure do have a good starting spot. Daytona does seem like forever, and it only has been 5 weeks. We like to kind of get that momentum going again that we had after Daytona. So tomorrow will be all right with me.
What kind of a race can we expect tomorrow?
Everybody's talking about, what the changes they made in the track. Is it going to be 2 lanes? Is it going to be side by side? And I mean, it's going to be fast, but I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of side by side racing. It's just so fast here. It's when you're running those kind of speeds on the bottom. That's where everybody's going to have to run.
Kenny Irwin's been knocking on the door to win one of these things, Mike.
And he's close, Dick. Boy, he's certainly starting from the prime spot. Imagine the track record broken by 5 miles an hour in qualifying. We'll be back to Texas Motor Speedway as CBS Sports coverage continues after this message and a word from your local station. Back to Texas Motor Speedway. Now batting, I believe that's Jason. No, it's not Jason Keller, but he's down there. An impromptu game has started here right on pit road. What do you do when it's raining here at the Speedway? It was Keller making the put out there at third base. Track drying efforts continue, and there are very, very dark skies, as you can see. But there's a lot of gray in that racetrack. You can see the race surface is lightening up considerably. And if it does not rain any further, we're not going to be too far here from a start. So we'll check back on track drying conditions here in just a little bit at Texas Motor Speedway. While we await, let's bring you some more encore coverage of the 1998 Coca-Cola 300 from Texas Motor Speedway. Texas Motor Speedway, Joe Nemechek leads, but the young guns are beginning to run to the front.
Is good news. The tops are coming off the cars. Looks like we're getting down towards a green flag start here finally in this Coca-Cola 300. Busch Grand National Series cars, 43 strong, lined up for a go. And here from the Bud 1 airship, beautiful shot of this great racing facility. This mile and a half where over 200,000 will gather tomorrow for this Texas 500. And if you're not going to be one of them, join us here on CBS. Let's go back to last year's race as we continue preparations for this afternoon's event. Rejoin the action with Mike Joy at lap 104.
Green flag. America's laughing about when Kevin James and Jerry Stiller star in King of Queens, followed by the NCAA Men's Championship basketball game Monday night on CBS. Well, the cars are uncovered. The drivers are in their cars. That brought a big roar from this crowd. There is pole sitter Dave Blaney, graduate of the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series, where they're running just nearby in Mesquite, Texas this weekend. Getting ready to go. Jeff Gordon, Winston Cup champion, strapped in and at the ready. And the track is dry. We're set to go racing.
Absolutely. It looks real good getting in the corners here, and just a little bit of dampness right up near the wall, but that really don't matter because if you get up there, you've hit it anyhow.
You can see just a little bit of wetness up near the wall, as you say, buddy, but they'll turn the race cars loose here and run them under caution for a few laps, and 43 cars out there can have a very quick drying effect.
Now, you do see way up near the wall where it looks pretty dark there, that area is still damp, and you can see that's just about the width of those jet engine trucks here in turns 1 and 2. So it's a little difficult to dry that area with the jet dryer.
They'd have to turn around and go the other way and blow back up against the wall, really, to do that.
So safety trucks moving into position. Drivers in their cars cruise at the ready. We're close to a start. We will be back to start the Coca-Cola 300. Finally, take the lid off this one when we come back to Texas Motor Speedway. Welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway. The jet dryers are just finishing up their duties down at the track apron here, and the Coca-Cola 300 delayed by 4 separate rain showers that didn't begin until about 10 minutes before we came on the air this afternoon. And now we finally have a racetrack that is dry but green, which means the rubber that was laid down on there from yesterday's practice, well, it's been washed away by rain, and nobody knows what to expect.
Well, there's one thing you can count on. There's no oil out there on that racetrack now. They did have a few cars that had trouble late yesterday afternoon, put some oil down on the racetrack. That's washed off, so that is a lot better right now as far as getting grip. It'll wear the tires a lot quicker, too, right now.
Wear the tires quicker, and will probably make the back end stick a little bit tighter than the drivers would like for it to. Most of the time, a clean racetrack like that will make the cars tighten up a little bit, but they will have adjustments built into the cars. Once they make a pit stop, they can change that.
Now, they will run several laps under caution because up near the wall, especially coming out of turn number 4, there is still a bit of dampness right up against the wall. So once these cars get out here, and this is the area we're talking about right here, out against the wall as they exit the corner, is part of the racing groove. But up there's still a little bit of dampness. The track trucks couldn't get quite up there. But once these cars come out in these wide steamroller tires and the heat from those 4-inch sewer pipe exhaust start putting some heat down on the racetrack, it won't take long for it to dry.
Yeah, that heat coming off of the engines and out through the exhaust is well over 1,000 degrees.
That's right.
So it will dry in a hurry.
These fans have been very, very patient. They expected a crowd that, had there been nice weather, could have reached 120,000 today, but they're all back and they're all ready. Let's go to track announcer Bill Bowser to welcome today's Grand Marshal, Mark Thompson.
Please welcome back, if you will, today's Grand Marshal, Mark Thompson.
Gentlemen, start your engine.
ready to go racing in Texas. Finally, after a long delay for rain showers, track dry, engines fired, field set to go. Dick Berggren.
Mike, safety is on the mind of every driver and every crewman down here. There have been 16 cars wrecked in practice and qualifying for this event. It is basically a brand new racetrack. No one has been in the outside crew, and no one really knows exactly what's going to happen here when the green flag drops. Ralph?
Dick, I had an opportunity to talk to pole sitter Dave Blaney about what his strategy is going to be to win this race. He said, especially now with a wet racetrack, the key is going to be to stay on the bottom and protect the upper groove, where what traction there was has now been washed away. And he said, hey, you know what? I was a sprint car guy. I've raced on wetter racetracks than this, Mike.
And he's won on slick racetracks, too. But certainly not in a car that weighs over 3,000 pounds.
You know, when you get out there after this delay, you were ready to go a long time ago. The adrenaline gets up. You're almost ready to go out. A rain shower comes. You go back in. You talk to your crew chief. Right now, these guys right now are mentally ready to go again. And one thing they don't want is any more rain. It looks good in the over near the east side where we've been getting a lot of rain from.
As the field rolls out for pit road, see those dry spots where the cars were parked, a little dampness around. And here's how they will line up today. Dave Blaney's third career pole with a new track record. Mark Martin, the winner here 2 years ago. Adam Petty has his best career start, and Jeff Gordon, the Winston Cup champion in row 2. Matt Kenseth is the point leader. He won at Darlington last week, and Jason Keller has his best start this year. Jeff Green, second at Daytona, and Kenny Schrader from the Cup Series. Jeff Krogh, fifth here a year ago, and Kenny Irwin Jr., his first start. Jeff Burton, winner at Rockingham, and Dale Earnhardt Jr., defending champion of this race. Row 7, Jeff Purvis and Terry Labonte, who has 10 Busch Series wins. Lyndon Amick, the former Dash Series champ, and Mark Green in row 8. Mark's brother David, the 94 Series champion, and 18-year-old Casey Atwood. Glenn Allen, 96 Rookie of the Year, and Hank Parker Jr. Elliott Sadler, back there with Brett Bodine from the Cup Series. Row 12, Joe Nemechek, second at Vegas, and Mike McLaughlin, 5-time race winner here. Tony Roper, NASCAR Truck Series driver, and Todd Bodine. There's birthday boy Jeff Fuller, 42 today, and the point-standing runner-up Kevin LePage. Elton Sawyer finished second at Darlington last week, and Mike Dillon. Hermie Sadler and Randy LaJoie, who won the season opener at Daytona. 2 weeks ago, Mike Skinner won at Atlanta. Bobby Hillen finished fifth at Daytona. Michael Waltrip has 7 Busch wins. Kevin Grubb finished 8th at Daytona. Barry Bodine, 21 years old, makes his second career start in the series. And Phil Parsons, third at Darlington. Chuck Bound, the 1990 champ. And Tony Raines crashed yesterday in the 74 car. Steve Grissom replaces him. Tim Fedowa and 2-time series champ Larry Pearson taking provisionals along with 95 Busch champion Johnny Benson. They'll run a few of these pace laps, trying to continue to dry the track, make sure it's completely dry before we go racing under green. The Coca-Cola 300 continues after this message and a word from your local station. Welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway, where the sky has visibly brightened here. 61 drivers showed up for this race. It meant that 18 had to go home, including some names you'll recognize.
And including Earnhardt, Steve Grissom, of course, he's in the race now in the relief form. Jimmy Kitchens are new to the series this year, but Jimmy Spencer and Dick Trickle not new to it. Kenny Wallace. So a lot of top drivers that did not get in the field.
We're going to ride along today with 5 drivers with our CBS onboard cameras. Mark Martin in the Winn-Dixie Ford. We'll have a CBS race cam. He starts from the outside pole. There's a look at that little bit of dampness that lingers up near the wall, as they have this track mostly in pretty good racing shape. Dale Earnhardt Jr., our Coca-Cola onboard camera, is inside of the defending series champions Chevrolet. He'll start 12th today. Joe Nemechek, the Bell South Mobility Cam, on board his number 87, starting back in 23rd spot. Mike McLaughlin, the former national modified champion of NASCAR from Waterloo, New York, starts 24th. The Gould's Pumps onboard camera, riding with McLaughlin. And Mike Skinner, the Yellow Freight onboard camera, inside is number 19, starting at 33rd. Nice cup holder. I didn't know they put cup holders in these cars.
That's where his water is
cool.
at. That's exactly where his drinking water is.
See one car outside Skinner's view, riding right up near the wall, trying to get as much of that, just a little bit of dampness, gone as possible.
That's what they're trying to do, is look at those spots where that is still dark, a little bit of dampness there, as you say, and try to get it dry as quickly as possible. Although some of those spots, especially in the turns, up next to the wall, they normally don't run up there unless they get in trouble.
Mike, you can see going back and forth with the cars there, that's to get a little bit of heat in these tires, because when they do go green, you want a little bit of heat so they get a better grip in the corners when they dive in the first corner.
Now, these cars come around through turns 3 and 4 over the exit tunnel there of the infield. You can see the trucks, the jet trucks, still working at the pit entrance, and this is a very critical part of the racetrack to have dry.
It is, because when they come off that turn, they're coming off at a very high rate of speed. Of course, the car has a tendency to drift out next to the wall, and you don't want any help in getting into that wall there.
Dick Berggren?
Well, NASCAR has just asked the drivers to form a single file and try and work in the upper groove. Mark Martin, who right now leads the group of cars around the racetrack, has said that the upper groove is really too wet. Meanwhile, on pit road, we've got brooms out, people have got heaters out and blowers and all kinds of things. Everybody around this racetrack trying to dry things out. Everybody wants to get racing. Ralph?
Dick, I just spoke with Patrick Donahue, the crew chief for Jeff Gordon, and he said that Jeff has radioed in telling the crew that the track is still going to need a lot of work, especially in turns 3 and 4. That is the #1 area in the racetrack he's concerned about at this point. Bill Stevens?
Talked to several of the drivers during that delay, and they say that in the first few laps it's critical for them to stay as low as possible. However, with the wetness of the racetrack, it may change their strategy. They'll have to run where the track is driest. Mike?
Well, and right now, Bill, that appears to be in the lowest part of the racetrack. So we have not begun counting laps here in the Coca-Cola 300. Extended pace laps to make sure the track is fully dry for racing. We'll be right back. Today on CBS, the Coca-Cola 300 is the order of business, and we've been running extended pace laps here. Without counting these laps, the cars have been ordered to single file by NASCAR officials, trying to get just that last little bit of the upper groove dry so that we can wave the green flag and get this race that nearly 100,000 fans have been long awaiting here, Ned. They've been in and out of the grandstands. They've had the ponchos on, umbrellas up, umbrellas down, and they've gotten a little damp, but they're ready because they know what kind of action this track can produce.
Race fans are very loyal, and yes, they put up with a lot, and have to put up with a lot here today, that they're back and waiting for the kind of racing that we expect to see here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Last year's race was a good one, and now it's with the change of the configuration coming out of turn 4 and going into turn 1, everybody's expecting to see a better race.
And area we just showed is the entrance to pit road, and it is dry. And NASCAR officials have now said in 5 laps they will look to wave the green flag to start this race. Let's join Dick Berggren.
Well, Gil Martin is responsible for the mechanical end of Dave Blaney's car. That car will start on the pole when this race starts in about 5 laps. You guys haven't been able to put a wrench on that car since 10:30 this morning, and really neither has anybody else. Big weather changes. What's going to happen here when this green flag comes?
I'll tell you, Dick, last night everybody was second-guessing themselves whether or not to go out for happy hour or not. And not only whether or not to go out, whether or not to adjust their car, because it was almost dark. Well, the conditions are about the same right now, and we adjusted our car for the conditions last night, so I hope it's going to pay off.
Well, one who did not was Mark Martin. He didn't take that happy hour at all. Let's go to Ralph.
Dick, I just spoke to Tony Uri, crew chief for Dale Earnhardt Jr. He said that they had made a lot of changes this morning. In fact, they really tried to free the car up. Now, with a wet racetrack, it would tend to get tight. So a freed-up race car is definitely the direction they want to go. Unfortunately, they do not have a lot of changes readily available to the car. They didn't set it up to make quick changes to the car. They'd have to make drastic changes at this point. An interesting note, with 5 laps to go before we go green, Jeff Gordon just radioed back into his crew and said, 5 laps to go. Are they kidding? This thing definitely needs to get the jet dryer back out in 3 and 4. We'll see.
And Mike, one reason that they want the track as dry as possible, the tires that they run on these cars are not They don't have tread. They move the car on me every time. But anyway, the tires do not have tread on them. They're slick. They're wide, have a lot of rubber to the ground, but the tires simply will not adhere to wet pavement.
There's one of the tires he's talking about.
Yeah,
you can see absolutely no groove whatsoever on there.
You see those little dimples in the tire that are in there to help the teams gauge how worn the tire is. These aren't bald tires, folks. There's plenty of rubber in that tread. There's just no grooves or no sipes to help channel away water.
Yep, but not nearly as much rubber as you would see on a street tire car.
So caution laps continue here. We are closing in finally on a start for the Coca-Cola 300. We'll be right back to Texas Motor Speedway with a green flag after this. Mike Toy with Buddy Baker and Ned Jarrett. You're looking out Mark Martin's car at the pace car. Chevy Monte Carlo here at Texas Motor Speedway.
Mike, and this is turn 3, and you see them right up against the wall there. That's the only place that's wet in that corner, and they're trying to make all the cars run through there to dry it off as fast as possible.
So they are single file out on the speedway, trying to get a little heat scrub from the tires, and heat dumped out of that exhaust. As Ed pointed out, it comes out of there at over 1,000 degrees, and quickly we should be set for racing. Ralph?
Mike, one of the reasons why they are so concerned about turn number 4 is that the drivers use up as much of the racetrack as they can as that car comes drifting through turn number 4. So the damper of the racetrack is what little bit of groove you have to utilize before you get to the wall is going to quickly go away if it's a damp situation in turn 4.
That's just the area we're showing the folks right now, Ralph. Just a little bit of dampness still there. That's the darker area of asphalt right up near the wall.
Yeah, you come out, well, we've just moved, and you can see I can't draw either, but you come out of this corner and you come out like so and right out into this area, and you can see it's still damp right there.
A couple of more laps under caution, and we should be ready for a start. This is race number 6 in the NASCAR Busch Series. 5 different winners thus far. That is much the situation we had last year at this time. But we've had net out of 25 possible top 5 positions in those 5 races. There's only 6 drivers who've had more than one top 5 finish. That's really jumbling things up.
It really is, and it just points out the competition that we see in this NASCAR Busch Series. And at every race we've been, they've had far too many cars. They start 43 in every race, but there have been anywhere from 10 to 20 cars. Drivers have to go home every week.
Today, as with most of the races in the early part of the season, they are Busch races on Saturday, Winston Cup races on Sunday. That's the situation here at Texas, and there are 14 Winston Cup drivers in today's field. And certainly that takes some spots away from the Busch Series regulars, but it also helps brings out this huge crowd. And I've heard Busch Series drivers say that, well, when you beat that crowd, you know you've beaten the best. So it really is, it's a kind of a double-sided situation as to the Winston Cup drivers competing with the Busch Series. In no other professional sport can the top-level pro athletes come down and play at the next level. But NASCAR racing has always been built on the premise that anyone can put together a team, and any driver of at least a proven minimum skill level can compete. There is no ceiling, no upper limit.
And, you know, it is a double-edged sword. There's no question about it. The young drivers that are having to go home, not getting in the field as a result of the NASCAR Winston Cup drivers there, then, you know, that hurts in that sense. But if they do get in the field, get to race against those Winston Cup drivers, it's the best experience they can get.
And we've seen some of those young fellows do very, very well. We will be right back. We're now getting a take 5 on the field, and we should be racing when we come back to Texas. Coming up next, the Final Four show, then Ohio State versus UConn, and Duke takes on Michigan State in Final Four action later this afternoon. Coverage from the Bud 1 airship high over Texas Motor Speedway, and now a little bit higher. The cloud ceiling has lifted considerably. There's a look at the Bud 1 airship. Proud to bring you these views of Texas Motor Speedway. Race fans, this Bud's for you. Pole sitter Dave Blaney is aligned behind Mark Martin as they finish up track drying effort single file. For more on Dave Blaney, who blistered the track in qualifying, here is Ken Squire.
Blistered indeed. Usually consider NASCAR Super Speedway racing a matter of 1/100 of a second or so to make the difference and to set records. Blaney in qualifying at 29.495 broke the old record by nearly half a second. The old record was Jeff Green in 97 at 180 miles an hour. That new record is 183.082. And so watch Blaney come out of the box, and he will be flying as he tries to use that low groove here this afternoon. Let's go to Ralph Shaheen.
Well, pit road is every bit as wet as the racetrack, and it's a mixture of asphalt and concrete. You can see some of the crews utilizing fans trying to dry out the asphalt. Kenny Schrager has an advantage. There's a break in pit road just before his pit stop. That will help him bring his machine to a stop. If he slides off the asphalt, he'll have an extra few feet to slide before he has to stop at the second white line. Otherwise, it would be a penalty if he slid past that white line.
And again, the slick tires on these cars make braking difficult. It's real easy for a slick tire like this to hydroplane on any dampness, and that's why we're taking a little extra time here to make sure this race surface is ready.
That's true, but they had a race in Atlanta not long ago on a track just like this, and pit road was very much the same as it is right now. These guys know that they have to slow down, and they also have a speed limit that they have to come in on pit road with now, so they're slowed down considerably before they ever get there.
Hank Parker Jr. made an extended pit stop. They replaced a leaking valve cover, and he's rejoined the field. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway. Flagman's at the ready. Light is still on the pace car, so we'll have at least another lap or so.
I think that's what it's going to give him, Mike. There's one lap to go once they get to the start-finish line. Carl Simmons, the flagman for the NASCAR Busch Series.
Gives them one to go. And there's a look at Dave Blaney on the pole. Mark Martin alongside. Blaney, graduate of the World of Outlaws. Mark Martin out of the ASA Series. Of course, runner-up for the Winston Cup Championship. And they start to the front row. Dick Berggren.
Mike, we've run enough laps now that this disturbs calculations for the first fuel stop. They've burned up enough fuel that they're going to have to come in a little bit earlier in terms of green flag laps than they had actually anticipated earlier. Between 65 and 70 laps, however, is what they had originally planned on.
Of course, they should be able, with the carburetors that they run on these race cars, which is a 390 CFM carburetor, much smaller than they run on the NASCAR Winston Cup cars. They get better fuel mileage than do the NASCAR Winston Cup cars. And so they should be able to go on 2 pit stops if it should go green all the way.
Well, there's a lot of cars out there that are not set up for this type of racetrack. They'll be looking for that early stop anyhow to make adjustments on those cars to make them get around the racetrack the way they want it.
We're looking for a start this time by. The honorary starter has the green flag in hand as the pace car leads the field up into turn number 3. They're now reformed, double file, 43 cars to start this race. This is the 19th lap behind the pace car. These are not officially caution laps. The scoreboard is still at 0. These are simply track drying laps. And now, finally, after a long afternoon, thanks for staying with us, but we are set to go racing. Car dives in, a big roar from the crowd. The Second Busch Series race in 1999 is set to get underway at Texas Motor Speedway. Green flag.
One of them went through there side by side. Of course, they were not up to full speed.
Exactly, and 3 wide down the back straightaway as they go down into turn 3.
Hard to believe that field at the front is still double wide, but they are. 2 abreast coming off turn 4. Who will lead the first lap? Who knows? Too close to call.
It was a tie, as far as I'm concerned.
Mark Martin fighting on the outside there, Mike. And Adam Petty, 18 years old, making a move to move into second place.
There's Petty in that day glow red and green number 45. His granddad ran 43. His father drives 44. Adam's number, of course, would be 45. And he's in second place.
He is now, and working on the leader as Mark Martin got caught up in that second groove. But boy, he's losing a lot of positions up there.
Field is single file except for Martin, Kenny Schrader, Hank Parker Jr., Dick Berggren.
Adam Kenny just as at the start of the race got a radio transmission from his crew and said, you stay on the bottom. You make those guys stay upstairs. 18 years old. What a tough kid he was. He did stay on the bottom. Now he's in second.
He's got his grandfather's famous smile and may have his talent as well.
Exactly right. And then third place there, our points leader in the Busch Grand National Division, Matt Kenseth, the 17 car.
Mark Martin finally got back down into the bottom group, but he started out in second. He is now in eighth. Kevin LePage up on the outside as the field goes single file here at Texas Motor Speedway. Coca-Cola 300 long rain delay, and it's really turned our broadcast schedule topsy-turvy today. Now 3 laps complete with Dave Blaney, the pole sitter, leading Adam Petty and Matt Kenseth. Fourth spot, that's Jeff Green. The run for Jeff in these early laps. Well, they single filed, and now we're going to have to find out who's got the right setup for these conditions that nobody anticipated.
Well, Mike, you can see they're running single file, the front group right here, and they're able to break away from the guys that are still doubled up back in the pack there. Here comes Todd Bodine in 66 on the bottom side of Lyndon Amick as they come down off turn 4.
5 laps complete. Now, due to the extended rain delay here in Texas, we're going to be leaving you soon to go to St. Petersburg, Florida, CBS Sports coverage of the Final Four. However, those of you who would rather see the race than the bucket can tune over to TNN, where we will continue coverage from here in Texas. Here's Jeff Gordon making a move down on the inside.
Yeah, just as they were going off the corner there, Jeff Green got a little bit high and just swept out towards the wall, had to roll out the throttle, and Jeff Gordon took the spot away to move into fourth. Kenseth does a rocket ship out of the corner. You can see Adam Petty wiggle there as he started off turn 2, and Kenseth takes second.
He's made just a little bit of a wiggle, as you say. Coming off of turn 2, the car got a little bit loose with him, and Kenseth was right there to take advantage of it.
Car on the go right now, the 24, Jeff Gordon.
He's now moving on the inside of Adam Petty, trying to take over third place, going into turn 1. That's that blue number 44. Jeff Gordon, Winston Cup champ, now up to third place, chasing the leaders, where Kenseth draws an eye on leader Dave Blaney to the inside.
He's down under him. This is single file. You see him roll out the throttle and let him go to the inside there. Kenseth now leading the race.
Dick Berggren.
An amazing run by Matt Kenseth, who crashed here earlier in the week, significantly crashed with Dale Earnhardt Jr. The whole left side of Kenseth's car was pushed in, torn up. It was so badly bent up, they had to completely cut some of the sheet metal out and weld new panels in. Up close, it's not pretty. In the lead, sure looks nice, doesn't it?
It's a pretty sight for followers of Matt Kenseth. Now he has taken off and left Blaney net by 5 or 6 car lengths. Yeah, evidently his car was a lot faster, and once he was able to make that pass, he was pulling away. I suspect that Blaney's car is not working as well as he needs for it to right now. Jeff Gordon is coming up on him, but he's doing a good job of just staying down on the inside and ride it out until he can get into the pits and make some adjustments when the time comes. 9 laps complete. As you look at our scoring on the upper left of your screen, a number displayed in green is a driver who has advanced a position in the last lap. A number displayed with a red background indicates a driver who has lost a spot, like Dale Earnhardt Jr., who's now dropped to 19th spot.
Watching Dave Blaney's car there, the second place car. When he goes in the corner, he's sweeping out just in the center part of the corner. Jeff Gordon able to run right on the white line. I think he's handling just a little bit better than Blaney up out of the corner. As you can see, move up on the racetrack right there.
Back to 7th spot, where now Adam Petty finds himself with a mirror full there. 8th, 9th, and 10th place. Once again, we'll remind you that CBS Sports coverage of the Final Four from St. Petersburg will go on as scheduled, and our coverage of the Coca-Cola 300 here from Texas in a little bit will move to TNN. The Final Four coverage on CBS, and our race coverage will continue on TNN. Here's Jeff Burton making a move on Adam Petty. Adam's car apparently is very loose.
It looks loose, Ned, as you were just saying. He moves out getting in the corner.
Bill Stevens?
Well, they might have expected a little bit of a problem with Adam Petty's car when you consider that that is a brand new car that wasn't finished until just before they headed for Texas. I spoke to Adam's dad, Kyle, yesterday. He said he was in the shop last Tuesday, and that car was just a raw chassis. Ralph Shaheen.
Down here with Tony Urey Sr. Tony, what's the story with the car? Junior seems to be slipping pretty rapidly.
Well, the track's real green right now. We freed the car up a little bit this morning for the weather, so it's a little bit loose. We're going to have to wait on the racetrack to come back to us a little bit.
How long do you think that'll take?
Hopefully it ain't going to take too long, but we're probably going to have to tighten it up a little bit, but the racetrack should get better.
Mike Joy?
He's the crew chief on the number 3 car for Dale Earnhardt Jr., who just surrendered 24th position.
Now, there's a funny thing that happened. All these cars that you see going backwards right now said yesterday the car was pushing in the cold weather, and right now you can see Earnhardt pedaling back through the field here, not able to get that car to turn where he wants it to turn.
And that's Randy LaJoie in the car number 1 going by. Here's the 47 car. Yeah, Elliott Sadler in that one today as Andy Santerre's here and on the mend, Ned. He hopes to be back on the tour at Dover. Well, it'd be good to see him back. He was injured, of course, at Daytona in the 300-mile Busch race there. And Earnhardt still losing positions. That car just not handling at all. At second place, Dave Blaney has his hands full with Jeff Gordon. A couple of ex-open wheelers at work here.
Exactly right. Jeff Gordon's run him down from about 50 yards back, and you can see Jeff Gordon's car much better in the center part of the corner as he moves right in on the quarter panel.
Kevin LePage has made an unscheduled pit stop there a moment ago, so he has lost a lap. As a matter of fact, he's back in the pits now. They put 4 tires on it the first time, Ned, and apparently that did not correct the problem. They're going back around to the right side. Second place battle as you watch LePage's car being jacked up and repaired for the second time. Gordon slips underneath Blaney, takes it away. Blaney's not fighting. You know, when Kansas went by, he just let it go. That's the smart thing to do. If you got a good race car and it's not handling the way that you want it to, just sit there and ride. Mark Martin has made his way back up now to the 4th position. He had dropped back to 8th in the early going there when he got caught up on the outside, but Martin now began to come, and he's coming up on Blaney. That's the 3rd car on your screen to the right. Let's ride with Mark Martin.
And the reason these guys are starting to move up, Ned, you can see way up on the left-hand side there, Kansas has moved off about 150 yards in front of all these cars. As he's going down into turn 1 there, they're still in the trioval up here.
Martin's car, you can see that he's able to stay right down on the racetrack. Blaney's car seems to push up a little bit. Well, as they battle for the front spots, one driver who is in big trouble is this man, Dale Earnhardt Jr. As you watch from the Coke cam, he has fallen 21 seconds behind the lead and all the way to the back of the field. And they're only running about 30 to 30 and a half seconds around here, Mike, 31 at the most. And so, you know, he's less than 10 seconds from going a lap down.
That was Hank Parker Jr. went by him, and you can see Hank Parker right on that white line. I don't see the car handling that bad. He just don't seem to be up to speed at the moment.
So we have 18 laps complete. Matt Kenseth is the leader. Jeff Gordon, Dave Blaney, Mark Martin, and Jeff Green are the top 5. Jason Keller, Kenny Irwin, Jeff Burton, Jeff Purvis, and Casey Atwood, the top 10. Dick Berggren.
And the guy who is in 5th spot, like Jeff Green, has picked up a couple of positions since this race started, but he's not particularly happy with his car. The problem is not the chassis. The problem is the engine, which he says just isn't pulling well. He radioed in recently and said it seems to be getting worse. This spot's not bad, though.
No, certainly not. He's had a good run so far. Back up front with Matt Kenseth. Coming up on 20 laps here. He has just put Larry Pearson a lap down. Mark Green has gone a lap down. And Steve Grissom substituting for the injured Tony Raines. Tony wrecked in a practice run here at the Texas Motor Speedway yesterday and went to the hospital. It was like concussion or something. Anyway, they advised him not to race today, but he's driving the car number 74, and he's about to go a lap down.
Matt Kenseth won in Darlington last week in this same race car, and you wouldn't believe how good this car has been running. He said the biggest improvement they've made is a great motor program, but I see him reeling him in. He may have run a little bit too hard on fresh tires and maybe abused the tires a little bit, because it looked like Jeff Gordon and those guys are reeling him in.
Folks say Matt Kenseth, the best driver to come out of the state of Wisconsin since Alan Kulwicki, the former Winston Cup champion. Here's the second place battle. 24 on the left of your screen is Jeff Gordon. Dave Blaney, the pole sitter, and at Bill Davis Pontiac, right there in the middle, and working very close is Mark Martin, all-time race winner in the Busch Series. That's Kevin LePage going behind the wall.
He's trying to give it up.
Bill Stevens.
Kevin LePage hoping for a good run today after that fifth-place finish in Darlington last week. I just spoke to their crew chief, Dan Gibbs. He says they've got a vibration in that car. They don't know what it is. They tried changing the tires. That didn't correct it. They may bring him into the garage and start troubleshooting in there.
To the inside for third place, Mark Martin in that number 64.
He is making a move on the inside of Dave Blaney. Blaney will probably back off. He did. Let him go. Takes the position so Blaney can get back down to the inside of the racetrack. So Martin now has moved from 8th that he fell back to up to the 3rd position.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. has just gone a lap down. Matt Kenseth just put the defending series champion and last year's winner of this race 1 lap behind the leader.
Boy, it's hard to believe that his car would be off that much here, that he'd go a lap down this early. Only 24 laps have been completed.
Brown team.
Mike, this is called racer tape or 200-mile-an-hour tape, and it can be a great thing if you have to make a quick fix to some body work. However, also the teams will utilize it in the front of the grill. They will tape off the front end. They will build up heat in the engine, make the cars more aerodynamic. On a cool day like today, they'll use a lot of this to tape off the front end. Jeff Gordon's crew, however, might have used too much. It is now registering 240 degrees with the oil temperature. Too much tape blocking the air, getting in there to cool down the oil. If they can get a chance to come in and pit, they will keep their eyes on that temperature, peel off a strip or two of tape, try to get some cool in there and bring that oil temp back down.
If I was the water, I'd be real concerned because 220 it starts to boil, but oil, I have run it out close to 300 degrees, so he may not be in that much problems right now. He is catching Matt Kenseth real fast right now. You can see he's moved right in behind him.
26 laps complete. Kenseth leads Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin, Dave Blaney, and Jeff Green. CBS Sports coverage of the NCAA Final Four is going to continue here on schedule. Our race coverage will shift over to TNN for the conclusion of this Coca-Cola 300.
Looking at the windshield of Mike McLaughlin, the Gould Pump Chevrolet, number 34.
Down into turn 3, right down to the white line. You can see him now. He'll come back to the right with his hands. That means the back's teetering just a little bit.
He had moved up to 17th, and here's the car number 9 of Jeff Burton making a pass on Kenny Irwin. Kenny Irwin making his first Busch start in the car number 11. And there goes Jeff Purvis in the car number 4 by as well. And they were battling for the 7th, 8th, and 9th position.
Well, when the car loses the handle or the car starts to go away, what does that mean to the driver? What does he feel?
Well, either the front's losing grip or the back's losing grip, and once it starts in, it's pushing the nose. You have to back off because it'll go right up to the wall. If the back end's breaking loose, you throttle back and forth trying to keep traction, but either place, you don't want it. You want the car to track around the racetrack.
Bill Stevens?
Kenny Irwin started 10th, and now he is 9th. He was as high as 7th. There's a problem with the cars. We talked at the top of the show. The racetrack has changed its personality. Their setup is not quite right. He told his crew chief, Wes Ward, the car's not doing exactly what I want it to do. That's his words. They're hoping for a yellow flag soon. They'll bring him in and make some adjustments to it.
Of course, that car owned by football star Brett Favre and Dale Jarrett. Jarrett Favre Motorsports.
Who's quarterbacking the team today?
Wes Ward.
Okay.
No, Brett was not able to come here this weekend. He hopes to attend a lot of races, but he had a previous commitment, couldn't come this weekend.
30 laps complete here at Texas. I don't know, you'd think he'd wonder about venturing into cowboy country here now.
Maybe that's the reason he isn't here.
You can see right now Matt Kenseth is fighting it out with Chuck Bound. He's in some pretty heavy traffic right now. This would be a chance to catch him if he gets hung up in traffic, but he seems to be going through there very, very well.
He is going well, and he's putting a lap on some very good race cars. To the pits and Dick Berkeley.
A little while ago, we were wondering about Kenseth, and he had slowed down because the field seemed to be catching him. His car owner, who is also his crew chief, Robbie Reiser, said, nah, he said, we're just riding around out there. Car's just fine. These guys are real cool. Meanwhile, Adam Penning, who started in the 3rd position, has dropped all the way back to the 19th spot. They are car not cool at his pit. The handle has gone. Ned, you were right. The car is very loose. Loosen up. That on the next pit stop, they're going to check the toe in. That's something you don't do unless you're really in trouble.
You saw Matt Kenseth move around the 0-0. Larry Pearson he's sore. He is waiting for a caution to get in the pits and get some relief. Jimmy Spencer's going to climb in for him, but they don't want to take a chance of doing it under green and losing laps.
Yeah, Ned and I looked at him this morning. He was barely able to walk. Earnhardt Jr. coming down pit road to make that adjustment.
He fought that thing as long as he could, buddy.
Ralph is there.
Mike, we're waiting as Dale Earnhardt Jr. brings the car to a stop. They go over to the right side. They will make a chassis adjustment on the right rear. Put a couple of rounds of reg in. They're going to put a tire rubber in. They're going to change tires on the left side as well and take fuel on the number 3 of Dale Earnhardt Jr. They complete the stop and away we go.
Now, what they would hope now is that it continue to go green and the others will have to stop under green flag as well. If a caution flag comes out, he's going to be dead in the water as far as any chance of winning this race is concerned, because he was already a lap down, and it's going to be at least 2 and maybe 3 laps down now after he gets back up to speed.
Some days you hit the setup, and some days you don't.
That is true.
With all the question marks today about weather and the different weather changes, both with the rain and the change in temperature and the overcast, yesterday, the last practice, it was 75 degrees and sunny. Well, these race cars behave very, very differently. Look, battle for second spot here, as now in traffic, Mark Martin has caught Jeff Gordon in 24. 33 of 43 starters still on the lead lap. More traffic ahead. Here comes Martin.
Yeah, and that's Barry Bodine just in front of them there. Both these guys know that Barry Bodine does not have a lot of time on the racetrack. They'll be a little patient getting by him.
He's making his second career start. That is Jeff Bodine's son.
Well, look at Mark move right up close. You got to run on Gordon. He's pulling down on the inside, and I suspect Gordon will just let him go, not fight that too much.
He's got the room. Shortly, CBS Sports will be going to St. Petersburg for the Final Four coverage. And Coca-Cola 300 coverage will leave CBS, but will continue on TNN. 36 laps complete.
Well, Martin has a great race car, and he's driven it very well. He's been very patient. That has moved back up through the field, back up to second place now where he started.
Coming up, the Final Four show. Then it's Ohio State versus UConn and Duke versus Michigan State from St. Petersburg. I don't have to ask who you two North Carolinians are pulling for here, do I?
No, you do not, as a matter of fact.
Since Duke is in North Carolina.
Well, I've lived in Connecticut all my life, and everybody in the Nutmeg State has been waiting a long time for this day.
Sure.
38 laps complete here at Texas Motor Speedway. Matt Kenseth leads. Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon, Dave Blaney, and Jeff Green. CBS Sports coverage continues after this word from your local station.
The Coca-Cola 300 is sponsored by Coca-Cola. Always for the fans, always Coca-Cola. The official soft drink of NASCAR. Degree, the body heat activated antiperspirant. And by Napa Auto Parts. We keep America running.
Welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway. 43 laps into the Coke 300. Mike Joy with Buddy Baker and Ned Jarrett. Coming up on CBS Sports, the Final Four show. Followed by Ohio State versus UConn, and Duke takes on Michigan State. Coverage of this rain-delayed race will continue on TNN when CBS Sports moves over to basketball coverage. 43 laps complete, 27. Casey Atwood out of Nashville, Tennessee, 18 years old. Started 18th. He's moved up to 10th.
Boy, what a driver this guy is. Last year, as a rookie, he finished second in his home track there in Nashville. So this guy right here in Daytona was running second with a few laps to go and got turned over on the front straightaway. But what a driver.
And we'll be in Nashville next Saturday on CBS Sports to bring you the Nashville 320 NASCAR Busch Series race.
That'll be the first short track race off 1999. Always a lot of excitement on the short track.
Matt Kenseth having a little trouble in traffic here. He tried the high line, but they are two abreast now. Elton Sawyer and that 98 finished second last week, and now he's about to go a lap down.
Mike, these guys are fighting for their life right now, trying not to go a lap down, and Matt Kenseth's car is so good you can see visually in the corner. He just closes up 1, 2, 3 car lengths on anybody out there.
Ralph Shaheen.
Mike, this was the problem for Dale Earnhardt Jr. right inside this circle. A cut down right rear tire, only 12 pounds of air in this tire when they took it off.
No wonder that car was loose. Larry Pearson's come to pit road to make that driver change. Pearson limping to give way to Jimmy Spencer. Here's Bill Stevens.
Remember now, on Thursday, Larry Pearson had that accident in practice. He's in some deep pain. His back is very tender. Jimmy Spencer into the car. He did not qualify his own car for this race. He was available. He jumps in. This car is almost identical to the one that they wrecked, but they'd rather have that one. The nickname of that car was Rocket. It was very fast. You see them finishing up now as they strap in Jimmy Spencer. They made a 4-tire change, added fuel to the car, and as soon as they get that steering wheel buttoned up onto the steering column, Jimmy will be off and away.
Now the seats are fitted to the individual driver just like a custom-made suit. Larry Pearson is about a size 40, and Jimmy, well, he's probably about a 48 wide.
I was just thinking to say, that seat probably fits him about like one of my granddaughter's suits would fit me.
Other drivers who moved up well today. Todd Bodine started 26th. He's running 11th. And Joe Nemechek started 23rd. He is now up to 13th position. Now, Pearson's car will lose some laps, making the driver change. But Spencer was not eligible to start the race as a relief driver because he's in the top 35 of the Winston Cup points. His own car did not make the show, and by starting the race, Larry Pearson will get all the points this car earns today, and that's important to the series championship. Final Four coverage coming up next. We'll see the Final Four show. Then it's Ohio State versus UConn, Duke versus Michigan State in St. Petersburg. Our race coverage will continue on TNN when CBS Sports goes to St. Petersburg for Final Four basketball coverage. Coming up on 50 laps complete, and it's Wisconsin's Matt Kenseth there on the right side of your screen. That number 17, owned by Robbie Reiser, also a Badger, and he has the lead, handling.
And it's came up past Steve Grissom. That's the second time that he has passed him, put him a lap down. It looks like a Joe Nemechek, last year's second-place man, going a lap down.
You know, Ned, right now, these teams are calling their drivers over the radio and saying, he's coming, the leader's coming, you're going to go a lap down. And you go, what can I do about it? I'm running the best race I can run.
That's right. As hard as you can go. And for the Dale Earnhardt Jr. fans, he did indeed, when he made his green flag pit stop, he went 3 laps down to the leader.
Something's wrong with Joe Nemechek's car, Ned. He's lost 8 positions in the last 3 laps.
Yeah.
We're watching from our Bell South Mobility Cam, and now he must have cut a tire because he's way off the pace. He's going to come in this time.
He got into Mike Dillon just a little bit and turned him sideways on the back straightaway. 42 of Joe Nemechek coming down pit road. This gives you an idea what these guys are looking for. Look at all these pits. Wouldn't you love to pick that little old pit spot out?
But they'll pick it out. Still some dampness on pit road, but with pit road speed, he gets it in there safely to his crew, and they go to work on that right side, change those tires. They'll change all 4 tires. As you can see there, Dale Earnhardt Jr. up there on the left of the screen was 3 laps down, but others will have to be, they'll be making green flag pit stops here before it's too long. We've gone 51 laps.
Since it takes them nearly 20 seconds to change tires and add fuel, and with the pit road speed limit, you lose at least 1 lap to the leader when you come in and make a pit stop such as this one.
Yeah, and he choked down there trying to get back out on the racetrack, so he lost a little bit of time there.
Matt Kenseth continues to own a 2.5-second lead. Mark Martin in a Ford, now the second-place car. Then it's Jeff Gordon's Chevrolet, Dave Blaney's Pontiac, and Jeff Green. Here's Mark Martin.
Yeah, and we were talking about Randy LaJoie moving from 32nd all the way to 21st. He's going a lap down right now.
And Jeff Gordon, the second-place car, is on pit road. Ralph, scheduled pit stop or early?
Yeah, Mike, this is exactly what they had planned on. And they're planning on 4 tires of fuel and a half a rubber out of the right rear coming out of the spring rubbers they're going to take out to help adjust the handling of this car for Jeff. Barry Muse, the jackman, puts it up on the right side. That's where they will take the spring rubber out. The oil temperature up to 250 degrees on this car. They're going to clean up the grill. There's a little bit of tire rubber and some paint built up on the grill. They don't get it. They do get it completed, and off he goes. And an 18.6-second stop, and they
pit stop for 4 tires and fuel, and so now has Jeff Fuller, the former modified champion. Upper left, those numbers in green are drivers that advanced a position the last lap. Drivers displayed in red have lost 1 or more positions.
Now, Dick Berggren talked about, the number of laps that they had run under caution before the green flag came out, which was 19 laps. And so that meant when Jeff Gordon came in on lap 52 or something, he had gone over 70 laps. However, they were not burning as much gas running under the caution. But we'll see Adam Petty right now is coming down pit road. So we'll see a lot of drivers making pit stops here over the next few laps.
Now, Ned, will this change race strategy for some of the other leaders? Now, here's Matt Kenseth, who's still circulating on worn tires. If Jeff Gordon comes out on fresh tires and is running faster, will that alter Kenseth's strategy?
Well, they'll definitely be checking that, Ned. They always do. But Kenseth right now is not running right on that white line. He's giving that car a little bit of room in the corner, not dragging it well. As he passes this car, he has to go down there. But he's been taking care of the tires pretty well.
Kevin Grubb has made a pit stop. And now David Green is in the pit, and so is Hermie Sadler.
Elliott Sadler's made a stop as well. Here's Kenseth continuing to circulate down in turn 1 with 57 laps complete. CBS Sports coverage of the NCAA Final Four follows us here in Texas, and our race coverage, because this race was delayed several hours due to rain, we will continue race coverage on TNN. So let's go to Ken Squire for an update on our race leader.
Matt Kenseth is raging like a prairie fire out here. Starting 5th, the Wisconsin driver has put more than half of the field a lap down, and he shows no signs of relenting. Here he is pulling up on Adam Petty. Remember, Petty gave him a pretty good run up in front in those first 3 or 4 laps. Give it all to 27-year-old Kenseth right now. In these first 60 laps of competition, just flat unbeatable. Mike?
Thanks, Ken. He has been all that, and he has really been a bright light in this series. Since he came on the scene, Jack Roush has his eye on him, has about a development deal to what could be an eventual Winston Cup ride.
And he's racing with Adam Petty there now, and Petty has been in the pits and has new tires on his car. And so, we thought that the point that you made there a moment ago about would they run a lot faster on the new tires, and certainly Adam Petty is not running faster than the leader.
Well, you just wait until he gets fresh tires on there. You know yourself that Charlotte, Atlanta, and this racetrack are tire sensitive. So when you get a fresh tire on that 17, you talk about something going to war. He's going to be something to look at.
Dick Berggren?
Well, one of the reasons Adam Petty isn't running so fast on fresh tires is he didn't take 4. He took just 2. Then they fumbled the gas end of things. He had all the time in the world to have taken 4, but he just got 2. As for the tires, what the drivers have found out so far is that this brand new Goodyear does not give up very much. We are anticipating, as this race winds down, possibility of 0 tires on some of the late stops or 2 tire changes. This is an excellent tire. It just doesn't quit. It's very fast all the way through the run, Mike.
That's a good point, Dick. Last year in winning this race, Dale Earnhardt Jr. went a long, long way on left side tires.
Yeah, and Jeff Gordon won a 600 because of taking on 2 tires right at the end. But we'll let you know, because Ned's right up here with his stopwatch, and when they make tire changes, we'll know how much it picks him up.
Tomorrow, the Texas 500. All the NASCAR Winston Cup stars will be in action here live on CBS, and then we'll see these Busch Series drivers again next Saturday in Nashville for the Nashville 320. Lots of NASCAR action coming your way here on CBS Sports. 62 laps complete. Matt Kenseth, Mark Martin, Dave Blaney, Jeff Green, then the 9 of Jeff Burton, the 4 of Jeff Purvis, and a lot of smoke out of the 47 of Elliott Sadler.
And he had made a pit stop not too long ago.
About 2 laps ago, Ned, yes. But it looks as if he might have shut it off and is coasting around to the pits. He'll be in tomorrow's show, driving for the Wood brothers.
Got himself a good qualifying position, too, for tomorrow's show. He'll be starting in the 13th position.
So Sadler comes into the pits where the crew awaits him. Coming up next is our Final Four show on CBS Sports, followed by the long-awaited Ohio State versus UConn matchup and Duke versus Michigan State. Now, when CBS Sports goes to St. Petersburg for NCAA basketball coverage, our Coca-Cola 300 race coverage will continue on TNN. Looking back from Mark Martin, looking for that third-place car of Dave Blaney.
Blaney has dropped back almost 10 seconds, Mike, behind the leader.
We've been caution-free thus far here in Texas, once they finally got this race started after a long, long rain delay. And only now are the race leaders making their green flag pit stops. Average speed, 177.2 miles per hour. Jeff Green making his first pit stop of the day under the green flag here. Coming up on just about 100 race miles of the 300 they'll run today.
Matt Kenseth right there is within 1 second of what the pole position was when the guys were taped up with the best tires and everything they could possibly get. So he's really handling quite well.
And as Dick Berggren said, those tires are just not giving up. They're still running almost as fast as they were at the beginning of this race.
Well, my call for the run of the day is Todd Bodine. He has now climbed up to 6th place. Now, a couple of those are due to other drivers dropping off into the pits. But Todd, the youngest of the 3 racing brothers from Chemung, New York, started 26th today, and he's knocking on the top 5 right now.
Has a great run going.
Matt Kenseth pulling up to lap Mike Dillon with a 59.
Other cars on pit road, including Terry Labonte. Kenny Irwin is in the pits.
And we'll see them tomorrow in the Coca-Cola 500. 67 laps of 200 are complete here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Matt Kenseth has not made his first pit stop, and it looks as if he's going to peel off the track and do so now. Turn to TNN for the conclusion of the Coca-Cola 300 as CBS Sports goes to St. Petersburg. The Texas Motor Speedway live on TNN, continuing coverage of the Coca-Cola 300 as we interrupt the Inside NASCAR to bring you the balance of this race, which is rain delayed and had a very, very late start time this afternoon due to lingering showers, pesky shower activity that just would not leave this area west of Fort Worth. Most of the leaders have been in and made their first green flag pit stop of the day. Most all of them took on 4 tires, except Adam Petty and Mike McLaughlin, who each took right side tires. We have been caution-free, and we stand now at 72 laps. Matt Kenseth.
And we got a car in the wall, Mike.
Coming out turn 4.
Hard crash at turn 4. Part of the racetrack where the drivers are hard on the throttle. And that car is going to roll up and come to rest here just before the start-finish line.
Now the question is,
it is.
Now the question is, the leaders have all stopped. How many of the guys have stretched the stop and maybe didn't come in under the green flag?
Jeff Green, Dave Blaney, Jeff Burton, Jeff Purvis, Todd Bodine, Jason Keller, and Casey Atwood Atwood was in. But those drivers show on the lead lap along with Ken Schrader, Kenny Irwin, and Mike McLaughlin. So Amick has pretty well used up the right side of that car.
And just before this happened, I saw the 74 car slow down as he came down the front straightaway, and he's coasting back into the pit area now. I don't know if he has an engine problem or what the situation might be, but he's coasting into the pits. But we didn't see any major smoke coming from it, so, don't have any reason to believe that there might have been oil or water put down on the track.
Ned was checking the speeds on Matt Kenseth after he did get 4 tires, and it was only about 2 tenths difference. He picked up about 2 tenths from the used tires until the fresh tires. So, hey, these things go pretty well.
They do. It's amazing that they didn't lose any more than that on the long run.
First caution of the day as safety crews come to the aid of Lyndon Amick. Updates on some of our other stories. Dale Earnhardt Jr., defending champion of this race, 3 laps behind in 41st. But now, due to the pit stop sequencing, he is shown unofficially as only 1 lap down in 32nd position. Now, there's Lyndon, climbed out.
Yeah, that was a hard look. The right side's flat on that car. You can see him right there. He's just going to get his breath back good.
So we'll take a look and see he's already into the wall, and you can see it. The car stays up next to the wall, rides it all the way around off of turn 4. The other car's going by on the inside. Then it starts to come back down in the middle of the racetrack, but that gives those drivers behind him time to move either low or high. And there's Lyndon walking across the track.
Just took quite a bang there, so limping a little bit, but otherwise okay. Steve Grissom's car has gone to the garage, we're told, after coasting around the speedway.
Yeah, he was subbing for Raines, who got hurt earlier in the week and didn't start the car. Steve Grissom was in the 74 car.
5th start of the year for Lyndon Amick, and it will end up on the hook. Here's Dick Berggren.
Pole sitter Dave Blaney is in the pits right now. Damage to the right side of the car. Car owner Bill Davis said that the car just got pinched down. They tried to pull the fender out, get that car squared away. Hopefully they've got the job done. Adam Petty is also in. They're going to try to square that one away. Petty bounced off the wall a little bit earlier. He's had some problems with handling. They did just adjust the toe in on the car, the angle of the front wheels, one to the other, and he'll be ready to go shortly.
A lot of other cars beginning to come down pit road now, Dick, as they come off of turn 4. The leader, however, car number 17, did not. Now, these are cars that would be 1 or more laps down that are coming in. The leaders, if they were going to make a pit stop, would have come in the last time around when pits were first opened, but it had not been that long since they made a pit stop, and they really didn't need to. And they could probably go on 1 more pit stop anyway.
And again, we'll remind you, as we said at the top of the day, which seems like a long, long time ago in this rain-delayed event, that practice conditions for yesterday afternoon's happy hour were 75 to 80 degrees in full sun. At the top of this day, it was overcast and cool, and then it rained to wash all the rubber off the track, and now the sun's poking out again. So it gets stranger and stranger. Ralph?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. in making a pit stop. Remember, he had a cut tire early on in this race, fell down a lap, so they decided to bring him in, change tires, get him fresh rubber, bring him more up to speed with the rest of the leaders. That way, he can maybe race his way back onto the lead lap. Mike?
So he goes back out. As you have a look at the rundown, Matt Kenseth leading Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin, Jeff Green, Jeff Burton, and Jeff Purvis from top half dozen. 75 of the 200 laps completed. And that bit of sunshine is one thing we did not expect to see today.
No, but it's a welcome sight.
Except maybe to these crew chiefs, Ned, because they've had a lot of head scratching to do.
Well, they really have, because as you mentioned earlier, the variety of conditions that we've had here today can be a nightmare for the crew chiefs and keeping those cars adjusted right. And they haven't had many opportunities really to adjust the cars either.
Still a little work going on up in turn number 4. And that is the 72 of Hermie Sadler in for a look underneath the left front wheel well. There you can see the track crew still working, doing a little bit of cleanup from where Lyndon Amick slammed the wall up at the top of turn 4. Those tire marks are not all his. Each end of this racetrack's gotten a bit of a workout here this weekend.
Yeah, the walls were clean before they moved in here on Thursday for Busch practice. The first round qualifying for the Busch Series was on Thursday afternoon.
Yeah, they painted the wall over there in turn 2 about 4 or 5 times already in one day here. I watched them go out and touch it up. So they had the racetrack looking good before this race started, but you can tell that once you have a problem, it don't take long to get up in that wall.
This is one of many events where the Busch Series are in combination with the Winston Cup drivers. But once they move on to the short tracks, fellas like Kevin LePage, Jeff Burton will move out of this top half dozen. Matt Kenseth, the point leader by 22 over LePage. Elton Sawyer, who went a lap down early today. And the Winston Cup regulars like Martin and Jeffrey Bodine will also drop out of these top dozen of the Busch Series point standing. Let's go to pit road.
Ray Evernham is team owner with Jeff Gordon on this Busch Grand National program. How's your car handling, and are you learning anything today with this kind of weather that maybe you can utilize tomorrow?
Well, half team owner. My partner's up on the box. Car's a little bit tight. You know, this Busch race is a little bit different, and we're learning some things, probably more about the racetrack and about the things that we need to do. This is a new tire, what it's going to do. It seems to be really good, doesn't slow down at all. But, you know, the car is really running decent. Again, Matt Kenseth and some of the other Busch guys are making it hard on us Cup guys, but it's something I'm really proud of these guys. New group of guys, young guys, and they're doing a great job. Car's running good, but we got to get it running just a little bit freer, get some more speed out of it.
What kind of strategy are you using? Are you racing the weather, or are you taking a look at this as it's a regular distance?
Well, right now it looks like it's going to be regular distance. The radar says it's not. We kind of messed up, pitted a little bit early, but we weren't sure about our fuel mileage. You know, again, we just don't have a handle on the Busch racing. We could have went a little further. Now I wish we had, but who knows? It might play back into our hands. We'll see.
All right, Ray, thanks. Of course, the other half of the team he's talking about is Brooke Gordon. Jeff's wife is the other half owner of the car that Jeff is driving. To Dick Berger.
I'm with Robbie Reiser. You own the car that's led virtually all of this race. How much did you change on that pit stop?
Change a little air pressure, that's all. Just we made a little, went to sticker tires, so we wanted to make sure we had the car free enough. That's about all we did.
Running well? How about the end of the race? What's the strategy?
Well, the Wall 2 Chevrolet is running really good. It's just, I think we can stop one more time and go to the end. Tires don't seem to be, so that's our strategy.
Let's go to Bill.
I'm with Donnie Richardson, the crew chief for Todd Bodine. You guys started 26th. You're up to 7th. Sounds like a...
Well, right now, the car's just a little tight. It's been pretty good all weekend, and he's able to, tires get a few laps on him. He's able to pass some cars. Managed to get ourselves up to 8, but made a few adjustments on this last pit stop. Let's see if we can't get this Phillips 66 car in victory lane. We've been faster where we're going. I think we're just a little bit overdue right now.
Boy, that's to put it mildly, Mike.
Thanks, Bill. We toured the garage this morning, talked to a lot of drivers, none of whom really liked the way their car worked in the happy hour last evening, except Todd Bodine.
Yeah, he just said, I fixed the car where it felt good to me and what the car wanted. I didn't care whether it made sense or not.
He says he has a chassis set up underneath that car that's a lot different from what you'll find up and down the Busch garage, but he's got a little bit of road racing experience with some of the folks that he's worked with in the past, so maybe his heart's beating to a different drum today. We'll see how it fares for him.
Well, Todd Bodine is one driver that knows the chassis of a race car, and he knows what affects it, and he knows the kind of a feel that he wants on a race car, and he found it with a setup that's maybe out of the normal, but hey, we got to admire him for being innovative.
And if he wasn't out there driving today, he'd be one of the best fabricators in all of Winston Cup racing. Tomorrow on CBS, pre-race coverage of the Texas 500 begins on CBS at 1:30 Eastern Time, followed by live flag-to-flag coverage of the Winston Cup stars return to the Lone Star State. Kenny Irwin on pole for tomorrow's running of the Texas 500 on CBS. We're getting set for a restart at lap 79 of 200. Lead lap cars in the outside lane led by Matt Kenseth, back under green.
Start finish line, the green flag is out, but boy, they're packed up back in the pack there.
Well, they all pretty well sort out.
It didn't take them long to find out we can't go 4 wide. It was 2 wide when they got in the corner.
Caution is out. The 89 car of Jeff Fuller, not the way to celebrate your 42nd birthday. It's down on the apron between turns 3 and 4. So quickly we go back under caution. Now he's going to pull it around to pit road. Bit of smoke from the right side. He may have gotten into another car. Hard to tell.
There were several cars that were bumping a little bit on the restart just as the green flag was dropping. And back in the pack, there were several cars that were touching, and some took off and some didn't, and sometimes that can cause a pretty good mix-up.
Yeah, Jeff Fuller spun in that pack, and that's what put him down at the track apron. He was able to fire it up and get going, but not before the caution came out. Riding with Joe Nemechek under caution.
I think of all the times when I was racing, the one thing I didn't like was restarts under the caution. When you have cars on the inside of you that you hadn't raced with, and they're trying to get the lap back, and they go in the corner a little hard, or somebody checks up, and all of a sudden you're in a wreck.
Jeff Fuller is being shown in the 36th position.
Well, let's see what happened. I believe that's Fuller down on the bottom of the racetrack on the inside. That should be Fuller right there.
Yeah, he just pulls over right there. There was no problem there.
What we're told is that Fuller, coming for the restart, one explanation from the scanner traffic is that his seatbelts had come unbuckled. So he pulled off the track to reattach them, is the word we have. 81 laps are complete. As we circulate under caution once again, pit stop for Bobby Hillin. We'll be right back to Texas after this. Motor Speedway at lap 83. We're getting set for the restart. There's been a little sunshine in turn 4. There was a brief sprinkle down in turn 1. We're set to go back to racing. Is there rain on the way? We'll see. But we're set to go back to green with Matt Kenseth leading. Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin, Jeff Green, Jeff Burton, Purvis, Todd Bodine, Irwin, Atwood, Keller, McLaughlin, Schrader, and Blaney are the lead lap cars.
13 of them on the lead lap. Mike Skinner is 1 lap down.
And Jeff Gordon right there, he's hung up on the outside. He can't get by Mike Skinner as they go down the back straightaway. These guys are fighting, trying to get back in the lead lap.
Skinner in the one of Randy LaJoy.
There
trying to get a lap back.
Yeah, and he just looks like Skinner in the yellow number 19 was able to get around Gordon. But of course, he has to get around Kenseth before he gets back on the lead lap.
Former truck champion against the Winston Cup champion. Skinner versus Gordon. LaJoy got hung on the high side. He cannot advance.
Trouble.
Adam Petty. Hard in the wall, turn 2. Caution.
Adam was running in 26th position.
And no one will get a lap back from Matt Kenseth as they come to the flag. Valiant effort by Mike Skinner.
But he was too far behind. And you see Adams able to drive the car away, but there's a lot of damage. That spoiler is way too high.
That spoiler is normally down in this area. You can see how high it is there. He went right directly backwards into the wall.
Amazing that car will run.
Boy, is he a kid of the millennium. It says AdamPetty.com on that decklink. Do you have a .com, Ned?
No. What is that?
Have your own website. I'm sorry. I know you're kidding me.
But I don't have one. Well, he did push that thing right up to the rear wheels, the back end of it.
Well, we went 73 laps without a caution flag, and in the last 13 laps, we've had 3 of them.
Well, that's not that abnormal when you bunch the cars up after on a restart. Once you have that first one, the cars are all bunched up and everybody's jockeying for position.
And I need to correct, Jeff Fuller did not spin to bring out that last caution. He pulled down off the racetrack, as we showed you on replay, and with the car sitting there, NASCAR had to bring the caution out.
And for a good reason. They said his seatbelt come loose, and if it did indeed, one thing, folks out there watching us, anytime seatbelt's not on, race car drivers don't go anywhere, and you shouldn't either.
Well, in the state of Texas, you get arrested for that. No seatbelt.
Yeah, you will in North Carolina, too.
Yeah.
Lots of other states. So
click it or ticket, I think I heard.
And that's a good law.
Yes.
Well,
Adam pulls her into the garage area, knows there's too much damage done to his car to continue to go, but right there's the man, Matt Kenseth.
Boy, he has dominated today. And he's got to be on cloud 9, Ned, to be tapped by Joe Gibbs to be the relief driver for Bobby Labonte, who's nursing a shoulder injury. Had a great run last week and will drive in relief for Bobby here tomorrow in the Coca-Cola, the Texas 500 that you'll see on CBS. That's just got to be wonderful for him.
Oh, it is. It's a great honor just to be chosen to drive in that car. And they sought him out when they started looking for drivers down in Darlington last week after Bobby wrecked. I'm talking minutes after Bobby wrecked and they knew that he was hurt. They said, okay, who can we put in that car? And they made a list right quick, and Matt Kenseth came to the top of the list.
And the reason they did that is a year ago when Bill Elliott's father passed away, they asked him to drive the car in Dover, and he drove a great race up there, finished 6th. He's never been out of the top 10 in 2 Winston Cup runs.
Adam Petty slides along the turn 2 wall.
I suspect that he went into the turn. We didn't catch the start of this spin, but he's probably on the outside. We'll take a look from the in car and see if we can determine anything.
Okay, he's down in the 1 there, a little high, and the back end starts to break. He tried to catch it, and around the car went.
That's what I was about to say. He probably got in there just a little bit too high. Sure enough, it did.
And on that last replay, you heard only a moment's hesitation from the throttle of Joe Nemechek's car, and then he was right back in it to get away from there.
Yeah, you need to drive away from that wreck as quickly as you can.
87 laps are complete here at Texas Motor Speedway. Matt Kenseth has led most of them. We'll be right back. We're talking the 2. It's oval track wrestling racing. I don't even know how to describe it, folks. You're just going to have to tune in and see for yourself after the conclusion of our Coca-Cola 300 coverage here. Roller Jam on TNN.
Dave Blaney got a lot of damage to the right door there, Ned.
Yes, he does have a lot of damage. He's been making numerous pit stops during these caution flag periods. Let's go to the pits of Bill Stevens.
With Lance Dieters, the crew chief for Adam Petty, you got a pretty upset young kid in the truck there, don't you?
Yeah, he gets down on himself, but, you know, we can build more race cars as long as it's all right. Just wasn't our day.
What happened?
Just got out of the groove a little bit. In this place here, if you get out of the groove a little bit, you're gone.
Can you hammer this thing out and get it back in, or is that it for the day?
I believe that's it.
Tough break for the kid who qualified third and was on his way to maybe a big day today.
Adam Petty in the garage. So we're getting set for the restart, which will come at 89 laps. Chevy Monte Carlo pace car pulls in, and Matt Kenseth at DeWalt Tools Chevrolet will lead them down for this restart.
Mike Skinner on the inside. He's one lap down. He'd like to beat Matt Kenseth down into turn one. He's trying his best, but that is a tough chore because that 17 car is fast, and he gets in there first again.
Now the yellow freight number 19 of Skinner has to duel that Pepsi Chevy of Jeff Gordon.
Gordon on the outside there cannot really get down where he needs to run fast. You see Mark Martin just behind him in the 60 there. Look how close they are to making contact there. Mark Martin up under Jeff Gordon coming off turn 4.
Just like on the highway coming out here, when somebody's in that lane, you can't get over, somebody will fill that spot.
They certainly will. He jumped in there in a hurry, took advantage of it, moved into second place. Of course, before all the pit stops started, Mark Martin had moved up to second place. He started second in the race, dropped back to 8th in the early going, and then moved back up to second green flag racing.
There you hear Mike Skinner pull out of the throttle. Right back in it again. Tomorrow on CBS, free race coverage of the Texas 500 begins at 1:30 Eastern Time. Be with us then.
And Mike, for the fans who missed part of Inside NASCAR when we brought the race on here on TNN, they can catch it tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.
Yeah, we didn't mean to preempt you, Ned, there, but
that's okay. Whoa!
Go do the race.
Excuse me, I didn't mean to yell, but as the 60 car, Mark Martin was making a move on the inside of Mike Skinner. He almost collected the wall coming off turn 2.
And Jeff Gordon was able to get by.
He's got a car under him again. There you see it on the left. That's the 64, Barry Bodine.
And that was for position. Barry is a lap down also, but now he moves into the 14th position.
And so was that number 1 of Randy LaJoie that also moved past Skinner. Ooh, one slow car off turn 2 down to the inside. One car almost collected. Quite a group there. And smoke comes from it as it drops to the apron.
That's Todd Bodine.
What a tough break.
Yeah, he had a great run going. Oh, that is too bad, because that was one car that Mike could have, if he'd ever gotten up there, Mike could have run with Matt Kenseth.
I think you're right, Ned.
Well, we're going to find out who has the muscle right now. As you look at number 2 spot there, Mark Martin, a genius as far as taking care of his tires and all. Right behind Kenseth, both of them down on the white line. You're riding with Mark Martin, looking at our leader, Matt Kenseth.
And he's picking up a little bit on it, I believe, buddy. As they come across the start-finish line right now, he was 6,400 the time before. He was 5,800 of a second behind. This time, he picked up 600 of a second. That doesn't sound like a whole lot, but, you know, it's at least a car length on the racetrack.
And one thing we never talk much about, when you go to a mile-and-a-half racetrack, you don't really talk about the draft out there. But they're running close to 200 miles an hour down the straightaway going into the corner. There is a draft for that second car to run up on that lead car. And when I say draft, I'm talking about a turbulence that's behind the lead car that pulls that second car forward.
And definitely at the speeds they run here on the straightaways, you can feel the effects. There's the 9 car of Jeff Burton and the 32 car of Jeff Green.
4th and 5th place cars right there, Ned.
Jeff Green having a great run here today. He's working on Burton. Burton been one of the dominant cars in the Busch Series this year.
Now they're a pretty good distance back from the lead battle of Kenseth and Martin. It's 2 seconds from them back to Jeff Gordon, and then 1.7 seconds back to these cars from there. Todd Bodine is pulled into the garage.
Mark Martin, you're riding with him coming down towards turn 4. Mike, as you can see right now, visually, he is closing just a little bit on Matt Kenseth.
Well, the last time by, he was 5,400 of a second. This time he's 58, so he lost 400 per second that lap, buddy.
Here's Dick Berggren.
Generally,
the crews are watching the television broadcast of the race. Right now, however, they've got weather on the television monitors, and if anything, they're watching a little bit of the Jumbotron. Robbie Reiser has radioed to the leader, Matt Kenseth. Go for it. Rain is coming. The 60 car, Mark Martin, same strategy. They are not running for the end of the race. They are running for halfway. Let's go to Ralph.
And the reason for that, Dick, is they're only 2 laps away from halfway, and the weather radar on the NASCAR trailer, I just took a look at it, and there is a huge patch of green, which means nothing but rain just a few miles away from here, and we're closing rapidly on that halfway point, Mike. And Ray Evernham just radioed Jeff Gordon and said, keep digging, Jeff, keep digging.
It has been a strange day of weather. Mark Twain would have liked it. We've had a little bit of everything here today. Tomorrow on CBS, NASCAR Winston Cup action with the Texas 500 pre-race coverage beginning 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Join us then.
It looks to me like Matt Kenseth right now has a better car in turns 3 and 4 than Mark Martin. And 1 and 2, Mark closes up a little bit, but he's not able to just run up there and collect him up. You can see Matt Kenseth has pulled it out just a little bit, as Ned said.
Yeah, he opened it up to almost a second as to get the halfway mark, Mike.
100 laps to go. And that's significant because it means that should rain come right now, and damper on this one, it would be called an official race. If it had rained prior to lap 100, they would have to restart it. But now the race could be called official, although NASCAR's goal is to run the entire distance if possible.
Now you can see there that Mark was almost a second behind the last time around, so Kenseth is getting away just a little bit. You wonder, you know, he's got to have mixed feelings. Mark Martin chose Matt Kenseth. He saw the talent in this young man and said to Jack Roush, hey, we need to look at this guy. They put him under contract in Roush Racing, and so he's out there running, and Mark's got to be looking up there, man, I chose a good driver, but he's outrunning me.
But let's amplify for the folks. They do not receive engines, equipment, or anything from the Roush team. This Robbie Reiser operation is completely separate from Roush Racing. It's just a driver development contract for Matt.
You're exactly right. Robbie Reiser was a great race car driver in his own, and he was so impressed by the way that Matt Kenseth drove. He said, I'll be the crew chief. You be the driver. I'll get out.
Let's join Ken Squire.
Little overview on the first half of the race here at this Texas Motor Speedway. I'm really impressed not only by Matt Kenseth and his ride from 5th up in front and just decimating this field as he's put car after car a lap down, but the entire performance of the Busch Series Grand National drivers. Remember when they came here back on Thursday, it seemed like every other moment we had a car right out here in turn 2 that was either brushing or thumping the wall, 8 out of 9, and that included Jimmy Spencer's car that was badly torn up by Dick Trickle, and we saw the Skinner car destroyed, his primary car for this race, and a lot of others. They've settled down today, and they are putting on, with a little exception of a epidemic of yellow fever just before halfway, this thing has been beautifully driven by these guys, and they're getting down here into the second half of this race, which looks like it will terminate early. That storm is definitely on its way, and Matt Kenseth is trying to hold on to this lead. Let's get back to Mike Joy.
Well, Ken, no one will accuse the Winston Cup stars today of taking all the money. Matt Kenseth, who led 108 laps at Rockingham and finished 3rd, led 97 laps when he won at Darlington, and today he's led all but 10 laps. He is a Busch regular, and he has thoroughly dominated this race.
Very impressive. He just picked up 0.2 of a second on Mark Martin on that last lap. He is now 1.737 seconds ahead.
I talked to him yesterday, and you know, last year he and Dale Earnhardt Jr. had a spirited battle right down to the end. He ended up second in the national point standing. He said we're a much better team than last year, so that better make everybody realize that this team is really on the go now.
Well, they started last season without a sponsor, picked up some race-to-race sponsors along the way, and then a full-time one. So certainly they have the funds, the equipment, and now that extra year of know-how under their belt. Average speed 139.3 miles per hour, slowed by several cautions. Let's go to Dick Bergman.
Thanks, Mike. Kenseth is running so well. His crew chief, Robbie Reiser, has just told him, back it down a little bit. You've got a 1-second lead. Maybe some of his edge, maybe some of his secret today lies under the hood of that race car. He's got an engine by a company called Kipley Performance Engines. If you never heard of them, that's okay. This is only the third time a Kipley Performance engine has ever run in a Busch Series race. First time was Daytona with Kenseth. Fourth, second time was last week at Darlington, and they won. And now they're in the lead here as well. This is the only car in the field with one of those engines. Not a name brand engine, but an engine company that built engines for Matt Kenseth when he was a local racer, and they still build engines for local racers.
That phone will be ringing off the wall come Monday morning. Good point.
Then a good battle going on back here between Jeff Burton in the yellow number 9 and the blue and white number 32 of Jeff Green. Burton is running in the 4th position. Green is running in the 5th position. Green moved a lap ago, moved right up on his back bumper. Now here's Jeff Gordon. He's running in 3rd place, and those two cars in 4th and 5th are catching Jeff Gordon.
What about Barry Bodine right there, though? I'm telling you, he's running right with Jeff Gordon, and this is his second time on a major speedway in a Busch car. That's pretty impressive.
Yes, and he's running in the 13th position. Of course, he is a lap down to the leader.
He was one of 4 Bodines to try and qualify this race. Now, that may be some sort of NASCAR record. His dad, Jeff, and his uncles made the show. Brett and Todd are in the show. Jeffrey Bodine's car did not make the field.
I'm just wondering how he got a lap down. That car looks awfully good in the corners. If anything, he might be a little bit quicker than Jeff Gordon, but he is a lap down and does not want to get up there and maybe create a problem for Jeff.
Now, Gordon was losing ground to the 4th place car off Jeff Burton, but the last few laps, that sort of stabilized. Burton has been able to pull away 4 or 5 car lengths from.
Well, the best thing Bodine could be getting right now is some of what Darrell Walton calls experience by following Jeff Gordon. Let's go to Ralph.
Mike, the Burton car has been a little bit loose, but they have been telling him that when he's been able to stretch the gap up from Green, the car runs 0.2 of a second better. When he has somebody right behind him, he gets real loose. Now, they've also been talking to Jeff Gordon. They like the fact of Bodine right behind him. Ray Evernham just rated him a second or two ago and says he's running better with Bodine behind him. Dick?
Well, another guy that's running surprisingly well is Jeff Green. He still has engine problems despite the fact that he remains in 5th position. The problem is the engine just isn't pulling. So Green is running absolutely flat out all the way around this place. His foot's not coming off the floor at all. They think they maybe hurt the engine in the happy hour practice yesterday. Imagine what he'd do if he had a couple of more ponies under that hood.
And Dick, I think that he's doing exactly what Buddy Baker was talking about earlier. He's getting effect of the draft from the 9 car of Jeff Burton, and that is helping that engine that's maybe not up to par, but is allowing him to keep up with Burton out there in that draft.
And Ned, how many times in the past have we seen on a slick racetrack or on a track with varying conditions where you could hurt the engine and actually help the car because you don't have too much power that you can't get down to the ground?
Well, certainly you see that on flatter racetracks a lot.
But not here.
Not here. No, I don't think that, I mean, you want all the horsepower you can get here, but he's doing a great job of driving that race car under those conditions, buddy.
Yeah, as long as he can stay that close to that car, he can draft along. All he has to do is slip one time, break a little of the momentum up, and he'll drop back in a hurry.
Yeah, if he gets the same distance again back from what he is there right now, he wouldn't get much effect from the draft.
The nice thing is he has a 4-second cushion on the 6th place car, that being Jeff Purvis. So he's in a good shape where he's running right here.
You know, when we talk about draft, Mike, you've been around and been to the wind tunnel as I have. Well, that's the air passing over, and that second car is actually getting a tow from the air passing over the front car. Also, it's breaking the air apart so you can run through more still air, and it gives you more horsepower to catch that car in front of you.
When you're not pushing that big wall of wind all by yourself, that's it. You can have a fast car. All right, leader Matt Kenseth is coming into race traffic, and that includes a bunch of cars that are going to try to stay on the lead lap. But Kenseth has been just so fast today.
Now let's see if this pack holds him up and he loses some of that 1.5-second lead over Mark Martin.
Yeah, and what he's got to do is use a lot of patience right here. You can see they're trying to use as much racetrack as they can, not to get lapped. I mean, that's their job, to stay out there and race as hard as they can. Kenseth will have to show a lot of experience right here.
See, Mike Dillon is racing there with him. He's back in the 27th position as the car number 37 of Kevin Grubb comes into the pits. Now Dillon has gone another lap down.
Mark Martin's closed in a lot because right now Kenseth's having trouble. But the only thing, Mark's got to pass the same cars that Kenseth has already got hung up with there.
He really does, and you saw Dillon pull right down in front of Mark there, so that'll slow him down a little bit.
Now, you might think it's easier to go through an open door, but that's not always the case.
No, not always. Right now, they're looking at Kenseth, though, and you see him going by Chuck Bound for the second time today. Chuck's fighting and doing the best he can, but Kenseth's car is flawless.
Well, Chuck is running in the 26th position, and we saw Mike Dillon being lapped there a moment ago. So those guys are racing for position out there, so they want to race each other as hard as they can and still not foul the leaders up.
Back in 9th and 10th place, let's have a look at the battle. Jason Keller, 57. Casey Atwood, 27. Mike McLaughlin on the left of your screen, 34. Is the 8th place car. All on the lead lap. And let's go to Ken Squire.
McLaughlin's putting on a great show here today. Came out of 24th starting position. He's doing well in the points. 6 as he came into this race, just 60 out of first place. And this ought to really help him, but Kenseth's going to have him covered up in front for sure with the second place driver in the standings, a Winston Cup driver, Kevin LePage, who left the race first car down today. Mike?
Thanks, Ken. We come up on 120 of 200 laps.
Look at this. Jeff Green with a bad motor has passed Jeff Burton as they go down into turn 1. He's running wide open all the way around the racetrack. As Doctor was talking just a little while ago, he don't even breathe it to go through the corners. He's running his heart out right now, and he goes right by a very good race car with a sick motor.
Whatever's wrong with that car is pretty right.
It sure is. He's got a great handling race car. And Mike, as you pointed out there a moment ago, as the tires get more heated up and start slipping a little bit, that is working to his advantage now as it makes longer green flag runs.
So he's on a kind of cruise control. Take the brick, put it on the pedal, leave it on the floor. Race leader, Matt Kenseth. Here's Dick Bergman.
We've heard the old story. You call somebody up on the telephone and they say, oh, he's in a meeting. You know, he can't come to the telephone. Well, they just had one of those things right down here in Matt Kenseth's pit. Robbie Reiser came flying off the top of the toolbox and assembled his crew. And virtually every crew member had an opportunity to suggest strategy to Reiser. He has just radioed Kenseth and said, basically, it's good, but they're going to pit the car in around 15 or 20 laps, we think.
Would be at about lap 140. We have 122 complete here in Texas in the Coca-Cola 300. We'll be right back. Continuing to soldier along and hold a spot there in the point standing. So Parsons is currently 23rd. He is 2 laps down.
And one of the lead lap cars is coming into the pits, and that's Casey Atwood.
And he's going to get right side tires. There's a look at Fido with 36 and 37. That is Mark Green. Fido is 29th.
I think that's Kevin Green in the 37.
Sorry.
Kevin Grubb. We'll get him right.
Thank you, Ned. He's 31st. There is Jeff Fuller, who is 32nd in the number 89 car. So you've got to go a ways back from the leader to find some more lead lap cars.
Yeah, the 4th place car of Jeff Green is running 11 seconds behind.
72, Hermie Sadler is 34th, and there's Mark Martin just going by him, the 2nd place car, number 60.
Mark Martin has dropped a little over 3 seconds behind Kenseth now. You see,
that's Bobby Helen and number 8 car there.
Is in 24th position. Here's a look at Brett Bodine, who is going to run some Busch Series races this year. He is in 25th place.
And here's Mike Dillon in car number 59. Mike is being shown back in 33rd position.
Jeff Gordon running third right now. And traffic jam there, getting into turn 1.
Lead car in that pack.
A little contact there.
Yeah.
Chuck Bound almost got into the outside wall in the 63 car.
Yeah, he got a little tap coming off the turn.
And that held up the 9 of Jeff Burton. Jeff Burton was trying to stay on fourth place Jeff Green. And now here's Casey Atwood. Look at that 27. Look at him rocking around. Remember, he just stopped for fresh tires.
Yeah, I think right now the racetrack itself may be getting a little bit slick, and the tires are really getting a better bite when they're new.
Well, the sun has come out.
Yep, that's it.
And that makes the difference. Those new tires perhaps will pick you up more now than they would when the sun was not shining down on the racetrack.
Casey Atwood is 2 laps down after that stop for tires, and he's currently in 26. There's a 0-0 that Larry Pearson started today. Jimmy Spencer relieved him. He is 36th. That time spent in the pits cost him 10 laps.
That's Jeff Purvis in the 4 car.
He's running 6th.
Wow, good run.
Having a great run here today. Randy LaJoy.
Okay, he dropped a lap net. He's 13th. And Mike Skinner,
winner in Atlanta.
He's tried a couple times today to get back up on the lead lap. Hasn't quite been able to do so.
No, he's 14th now.
Riding down the back straightaway with him as he heads down into turn 3. You can see the groove has moved out just a little bit. You have a little more racetrack to work with than what we could see right at the first of the race.
It's our yellow freight race cam. Skinner coming up on a little bit of traffic here. Sails it off into the corner. That's the 50 of Mark Green.
Well, there's a pass in the outside lane, as I was just talking about. We do have a racetrack you can run side by side on now.
If you're expecting TNN Roller Jam, we are here because this race was rain delayed several hours at the start. And our CBS coverage has moved over to TNN. Stay tuned for Roller Jam a bit later on this evening. The New York Enforcers take on the Texas team, the Texas Wrestlers, on TNN Roller Jam tonight.
Well, they have some action, too.
They do, Ned. It's
fun to watch.
Kind of looks like Hickory Speedway on a Saturday night, except there's no cars. On pit road, Jeff Gordon.
This would be a scheduled pit stop. Have about 65 laps to go, and he can go that far on the tank of fuel. So Gordon coming down for what should be his last pit stop.
Third place car. Ralph there.
Mikey last pit on lap 52. He comes in on lap 135. They will make an adjustment on the right suspension. Barry Buse cranks 1 round. They change right side tires. That's all they're going to do. A 2-tire stop. They're getting all the fuel in they can. They're done, and away goes Jeff Gordon.
14 and 6/10 seconds of real fast pit stop. And of course, they had the tires changed before they got all the fuel in.
So they'll have to go another 100 miles on those left side tires, which, as we've discussed on and off through the day, does not look as if it's going to be a problem. And that, of course, assumes we go the full distance of this race.
Yeah, and the sun's gone behind the clouds again, so the surface will start cooling off again.
Hermie Sadler in the pits in car number 72. Hermie being shown in 34th position.
And they're going to take on right sides as well.
That might be,
and 4.
Once the pattern has been set, that might be what we'll see. Although the car number 17 and 60 are far enough ahead that they can take on how many they want to. We'll find out here in a moment, won't we?
Matt Kenseth comes to pit road, comes down to the speed limit, and Dick Bergman, 4 tires or 2.
Well, we're about to find out. It appears as if they're ready for 4. Mark Martin has just been told when he pits, he is supposed to take 4 as well. Front tires are going to be Philip Dry. Dean Rosenberry's on the back, and will they do both sides of the car or just one? Kenseth Jim has had an absolutely spectacular run today. The winner last week at Darlington, looking to make it 2 in a row. It will be a 4-tire change. Slow on the left rear, very slow on the left rear. Dry was way ahead of Rosenberry, coming around the car, but they got it done all together. Just a tad over 19 seconds, a good stop.
Matt Kenseth surrenders the lead to Mark Martin. Jeff Green is now the second-place car. Jeff Burton is third. Jeff Purvis moves up to fourth. Randy LaJoy makes the stop. And the 72 car of Hermie Sadler has not left the pit. Well, that car is stopped on pit road as you watch for Mark Martin, who is now the leader.
Now, it would be interesting to see how long he stays out there and let Kenseth go on those fresh tires.
Hard to tell what the problem was there with Sadler. They're reaching in the car as if they're reaching back behind the seat.
But now he's moving off.
Yep.
But he has lost several more laps in the pits.
Well, we'll see if he's able to come back up to
Mark
speed.
Martin's coming in the pits as we speak. You could tell he was coming down. You could see how fast the cars were passing him. Dick Berggren?
A lot of discussion here about what Mark Martin is going to do. The crew is ready for his pit stop.
Oh, trouble
on pit road.
No, hard crash at turn 4. 2 cars. Atwood is one of them. Spins across traffic, and everybody snakes their way through hard on the brakes. Spinning also Purvis.
Purvis also one of the top 5 cars.
Jeff Krogh is that yellow car, Ned, down at the track apron. He and Casey Atwood got together.
And the fact that Mark Martin had committed himself to come into the pits, of course, he has gone back out, but that might have let some cars get back in the lead lap that had made a pit stop.
Here they come.
Matt Kenseth in trouble at the start-finish line.
Trying to get back on the lead lap. He spins all the way down through the grass.
Whoa, look at the front valence there. He's got a lot of damage to the front part of the car right in that area right there. Aerodynamics won't be the same anymore.
He was trying to beat Mark Martin back to the line, Ned, as you pointed out, and was flying off turn number 4. He had to go to the grass to miss both Atwood and Krogh, and he came flying in there, came back up on the pavement, tried to right the car, but it went spinning again. A slide of some 2,000 feet for Matt Kenseth.
Now, Jeff Green had taken over the lead when Mark Martin came into the pit. So that's the man he was trying to beat back to the start-finish line. So, wow, that was a...
This part right there, that's the side piece that they have for aerodynamics on the 17. You can see that's not a big piece. They can jerk that off. That's not a problem. But the front part, aerodynamically, is really messed up.
You saw that Jeff Krogh is okay. They were very grateful to the Joe Gibbs team. One of their cars did not make the race, so that Interstate Battery sponsorship was given to Krogh for the day, and he has climbed out and walked away. Well, what happened?
Oops. Casey Atwood looked like just slipped up the racetrack a little bit into Krogh, and around they went. And then here comes Jeff Purvis trying to dodge. He got down on the grass and just lost traction, and he spun down the front straightaway here.
Now, everybody's snaking their way through. It's going to be a while. See it again.
They touch right there, and you can see Krogh hard in the wall on the driver's side of the car. Casey Atwood coming right at you up against the wall.
Boy, Krogh took a hard hit with the left side.
On the driver's side, yes. And you can see Atwood's car staying up there next to the wall. This is Atwood, and this is Krogh down here. And then we're going to see Jeff Purvis come into the picture.
And Jeff Gordon right there as he goes down.
And everybody snakes their way through. Now looking for the leader, who is not yet there. And there goes Kenseth. He came across the line. If that was Jeff Green, he came across right at the same time as Green. Out of control. And a perfect day for Matt Kenseth is not such anymore. 143 laps complete, 57 to go at Texas Motor Speedway, and a strange day of weather has become strange on the racetrack as well. We'll be right back.
It's crew chief Jason Ratcliffe. The car made a real sudden move. Did Casey tell you what he thinks happened?
We just put tires on it, and he'd run a couple laps there, and when he went off in a corner, he called us and told us that he felt like he had a vibration up on the right front, and we were fixing to bring him in, and he never made it back. So something must have let go on the right front. We're going to take the car back to the truck, see if we can't find out what happened.
To Dick Berggren.
long stop for Matt Kenseth, who radioed right after that accident. He said, that is the dumbest thing I have ever done. Crew said, don't worry about it, we'll take care of it. Right now, they are trying to pull the nose of that car out to improve the aerodynamics, which are thoroughly messed up at this point. They pulled a whole pile of grass, whole divots got stuck up underneath there, and now they're going to tape off that lower area. That's a critical area, particularly for a racetrack as fast as the Texas Motor Speedway. They've got to get that thing right for Kenseth to have a shot to come back through the field again and maybe have some sort of a chance to win this race. Tough break for Kenseth, who looked like a sure winner until that accident.
Well, with that front valence pushed in, that air will create lift on the nose, and what's the result to the driver?
Well, it just won't turn when he goes in the corner. It'll try to go out to the outside wall. But I will tell you, they made a major, they helped that car when they put that tape on that right side. They helped that car a lot because they closed off a lot of the part to step back in there. That's not as bad as it looks.
Now, here's a lap down.
Yes. He was trying to get that lap back from Mark Martin and Jeff Green coming through the grass to the caution flag. Ralph?
Well, Mike, the Jeff Green pit stop, they had a real good stop. They even put around or took a half around the wedge out to loosen him up a little bit. But he has one big problem. He has no third gear. This will be the second restart he has done today without third gear. He feels like he can get it up to speed. It's just going to take him a little bit longer. Jeff Burton's crew chief has already been down here talking things over with Harold Hawley, Jeff Green's crew chief, about whether or not he's going to need him to get out of the way in case Jeff Burton comes flying through.
Deals being made with 54 laps to go. There's a look at Jeff Green, and there is Casey Atwood's car. He has had a tough rookie season, first full season in Busch Racing, which started out in Daytona. Now he's within one position of perhaps winning this race when Andy Hillenburg gets into him out of turn 4.
And it don't get any better. Right here when it hits the grass, watch it barrel roll.
And all he got out of that wreck was a bruise on his left foot.
There's Todd Bodine's car in the garage. Engine trouble took him out. He looked like, as Ned said, one of the very few cars that could have run with Matt Kenseth. Let's explain the rules so folks know what happened here. When the caution comes out, unlike Winston Cup racing, they don't really race back to the caution, but a driver who is trying to get a lap back can challenge the leader. The difficulty in this case is that the first part of the quad oval leading to the start-finish line, Atwood had the middle block, and Krogh had that apron block. So Matt Kenseth, if he was going to race to the line, had to go to the grass.
And he lost control.
And we are under caution with 53 laps to go. We'll be back to Texas Motor Speedway after this. They have just restarted with 51 laps to go. Here's the situation. 24, Jeff Gordon is on the tail end of the lead lap. So number one, Randy LaJoie just got a lap back to the leader, and here comes Earnhardt trying to get a lap back from race leader Mark Martin on the outside.
And they made a little contact as they came through the quad oval here at the Texas Motor Speedway, and Earnhardt does get back on the lead lap. Here's Mike Skinner in that yellow car. He's trying to get back on the lead lap, and the 32 car is trying to take the lead.
Oh, isn't that the car with the sad engine?
Not too sad right there. They just got Mark Martin up there on that high
trouble back straight away. 4, 5 cars have crashed.
And this
Bobby
is the break that these guys will need. The break that these guys need that just passed the leader. They're back on the lead lap.
And they do. All of them come to the line ahead of Jeff Green.
Bobby Hill and Jimmy Spencer, a few cars that I could recognize. That's Bobby Hill in there trying to right the car to get back into the pits and make adjustments on that car.
And a rash of caution fever after 73 green flag laps to start this race.
So Jeff Gordon, Mike Skinner, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. all got a lap back. They're back on the lead lap now.
That is one of the strangest days of racing I can remember.
Strange. Barry Bodine comes by with the flat right front tire on his car.
And that's a shame because he had a great run going. And let's update that Jeff Purvis, who had spun also in that incident, stayed on the lead lap in 9th place.
That was the incident before.
Yes.
When here on the front straightaway, and he did indeed. We mentioned the fact that he did spin, but he got back on the lead lap. I stayed on the lead lap, really.
So now we're going to have 12 cars on the lead lap when we restart. Bobby Hillen's car will not steer. Here's some of it. What happened?
Very crowded on the backstretch. Somebody gets into somebody, I guess, coming off of turn 2. And there's Barry Bodine up on the outside.
Well, Elton Sawyer just snuck through
Jimmy
there.
Spencer right there in the 00.
And Phil Parsons was the car in the right corner of the screen.
This will show it as they start off turn 2. You can see Barry Bodine in 64 sideways coming out of there.
That's how it started. Second career start for Barry Bodine. Jeff Gordon's in the pit.
And so is Mike Skinner and several others who got back on the lead lap.
Exactly. Why not come in, get fresh tires, go back out there? There's only 12 cars on the lead lap. You go right back up there.
They got everything to gain and nothing to lose by doing this.
And let's have another look at it as Mike Skinner leaves pit road.
That's Barry Bodine right there. As he loses it now, everybody gets collected. You can see Brett Bodine in the 54 there, getting in the back of Hill and turning him around. Matt Kenseth in the 17 sneaks right through the middle.
And so does the 63 of Chuck Bound. To update you on Kenseth, he remains 1 lap down. After the prior caution flag, he had made a green flag pit stop while leading, and that's how he fell off the lead lap and was trying to get back on the lead lap when that caution came out.
There's Barry Bodine's car being pushed behind the wall, and just as Mark Martin, who had taken the lead when Matt Kenseth made a pit stop, Mark was coming down pit road, and that's when we had the incident off of turn 4. Of course, Mark went on back out, and that kept Matt a lap down.
Guys, I got to tell you something. The sky is getting darker and darker.
Coming on supper time, buddy.
Supposed to get dark. So
not quite this early. No, you're right, buddy. You're right.
Well, of course, the leader of this race now is Jeff Green.
And as we said, that was the car that was reported with the sick motor.
Yeah.
But being able to run flat out all the way around this speedway has just been a boon for Jeff Green today.
They're putting a piece of aluminum on the front of the 17 there, Matt Kenseth, trying to get rid of that part that you were talking about, Mike, not long ago, that was pushed back towards the radiator there on the front.
Ralph Shaheen.
Mike, don't forget, Jeff Green has more of a problem than just that sick motor. He's got no third gears, we told you, and he just got it up through the gears on that last restart. He was so happy about his shifting through the gears, he radioed in, he says, boys, this is a green shifting machine, just like that. He's real pleased with this machine. Now, that's twice he's had to do a restart without third gear. He's going to have to do it at least one more time here, and they're really worried that maybe Mark Martin, who's right behind him, can get by them. And as they said upstairs, those rain clouds are definitely closing in.
Now, they will be lining up 2 abreast when they restart this race. The lap cars will be down on the inside, and Jeff Green will be up on the outside, and you can only pass to the outside on a restart. Now, whether there'll be room out there for Mark to go, you know, the racetrack's wide enough, but Jeff Green can make it pretty wide there, too.
Well, let me raise the question, Ned. Do you tell your competition you don't have third gear, you have a problem? Do the spotters converse?
Well,
so the guy behind doesn't run slap into you.
Yeah. It's good to do that because, you know, both of you get wrecked.
Dick Bergman?
Well, Mark Martin sure knows what's going on because Jack Roush just radioed him and reminded him that the 32 car, Jeff Green, does not have third gear. Mark Martin came back and said, oh, wonderful, we're going to have a great crash on this restart.
Well, answered and speculated all in one report. Thanks, Dick. Okay, buddy, you're Mark Martin. What do you do? The car ahead's not going to get away on the restart.
There's 2 things you can do. Of course, Michael Waltrip there on the inside in the 21 car, he's going to try to get a lap back there. He's going to run as hard as he possibly can. You either time it, you drop back and try to time when he's going to get on that car up there, the hill, and try to get in the middle part of the racetrack and maybe get by him before he gets up to speed.
Michael Waltrip thought he had his lap back because he did beat Mark Martin back to the line as they came to get the caution flag, not realizing that the 32 car up there was actually leading the race.
See him getting the debris off the tires there, wiggling back and forth, getting a little heat into the tires before they get into turn 1 down there. If you don't do that, it won't turn. It'll just go right into the wall.
If you don't get that little grit and stuff off those tires, they will slide.
All right. Now, the white car, has no third gear, so it won't accelerate well. We're going to ride on this restart with Mark Martin. Here we go. Green flag.
I got to tell you something. He's got a problem. I can't see it. Right there is his problem. You see Mark Martin going to the inside as they head into turn 1.
3 abreast, they're going in there.
Ooh, Martin came right up on green to take the lead, and here comes his teammate Jeff Burton, number 9.
And Jeff Burton is cutting him no slack there, side by side down the back straightaway, heading into turn 3.
Michael Waltrip got his lap back. Those two yellow cars stay side by side, and there's green.
And Elton Sawyer also got back on the lead lap.
You can see Jeff Green dropped back about 5 car lengths now from the leaders up there as they run side by side, though. That's a break for him to get back up to speed on the outside. He's
trouble there, too. 3 cars slide, 1 in the wall. And
that's Jeff Purvis right there. And
this is Earnhardt Jr. And Jeff Gordon is involved.
Oh, man.
Caution is out.
And, of course, Michael Waltrip and Elton Sawyer do get back on the lead lap.
Oops. Earnhardt's got a lot of damage to the left rear there. Mike is almost dragging the ground.
And Purvis's car is well torn up. And Jeff Gordon was also involved. So take 3 favorites, 3 heavy hitters out of contention for this win.
Now that car is done. It's going to the garage area. No matter whether he can drive it in or not, he's going to the garage area. Look at the right front corner there. The tire itself has turned all the way back into the motor.
Gordon's car, excuse me, Ned, Gordon's car did come around to take the caution flag, but I believe it's well towed out. That's going to be a lot of adjustment to make. And since Jeff Gordon is not running for Grand National points, not sure what they'll decide to do when he comes to pit road.
So you had 2 cars that get back on the lead lap. You had 3 cars that were on the lead lap that are in trouble here now.
What happened here going into turn 1, mid-pack?
Earnhardt Jr. gets in the back of the 4 car and he starts to wiggle. Jeff Gordon tries to get by, gets touched just at the last moment, turning him around.
And look at Gordon on the left of your screen do a nice job staying off the wall. Or maybe it's the laws of physics that did a nice job keeping him off the wall. From Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Okay, the 4 car right there. You can see him going down in the corner. Earnhardt comes in pretty hard there. Right there, he touches him just a little bit to get him wiggling, and around he starts.
You're so close to being out of control anyway, and didn't take much of a bump, and around he went.
Now we'll ride with Mike Skinner and show you his view.
And he's right on the Jeff Gordon's back bumper, and in fact, he gives Jeff Gordon a little bit of a bump. And Gordon almost got through there, but had too much going against him. And the rain is starting to fall, guys.
Yep. And the umbrellas, they're out on the front straightaway.
Skinner sent Gordon left, then Earnhardt sent him right.
Boom. Just a little touch, not a hard lick. Boom.
Ooh. And now it's raining. The day may end just the way it started. 158 laps are complete. There are 42 to go. Fans running for cover. And the fellow who led the first lap of this race, and laps 138 to 40 and 144 to 50, is back out front again. That's Mark Martin. And he and Jeff Burton battled side by side for the lead for about 3 straight laps before Martin assumed the lead.
And the 3rd place car, Jeff Green, if he had just had a transmission, he must be thinking.
Yeah, so he could take off.
So 41 laps to go, a light rain but steady falling here at Texas. We'll take a break and come back and see what happens. Jarrett and Buddy Baker here at Texas in a day that has seen all kinds of weather and all kinds of luck, good and bad. Dale Earnhardt Jr. got himself laps down, got himself back on the lead lap, and then got involved in this. But now no one has pitted because with the rain delay, if this race should be stopped because of rain, Earnhardt will finish 10th.
You know, his car is still capable of running around under caution. I don't think he'd do a very good job running under greens, but he is in 10th position out there circling the racetrack. So, you know, if it does rain this race out, a real blessing for him.
To tomorrow on CBS Sports. You will see live flag-to-flag coverage of the Texas 500 Winston Cup race. Our pre-race begins at 1:30 Eastern Time. Dick Berggren.
Mark Martin is leading this thing, and the rain is coming down pretty good, Mike Joy. He's got a terrific percentage in this series, 20%, but this is his crew chief, Tony Lambert. Get used to this face. This is only his 6th ever Busch Series start. If this rain keeps coming and Mark Martin wins, he is going to have 1, 2 out of 6. That's a third, 30%. What have you guys got going that has got you running so well?
Hey, we got a bunch of great guys here, and Mark Martin's one of the best drivers here, and the whole combination has been super, and I just love to thank Win Dixie for giving me the opportunity to do this, and Jack Roush.
And they were all doing a rain dance while we were in commercial. They really were jumping up and down in the blue tarp here, hoping it keeps on raining. And it's raining pretty well right now.
All right, Dick, I want you to find while you're down there the Roush rain gauge. Last week at Darlington Winston Cup race, Jeff Burton slapped the wall during a caution incident. It rains, they win. I mean, here we are again, Mark Martin. He hasn't had trouble, but he's in front, and it's pouring.
Mike, it is absolutely pouring. You see the crowd right now trying to get up under the grandstand overhangs here to get out of the rain.
Now, this is hard rain. Where's Mark Martin's crew?
Now, what you want to do is not get up on the bank and slide off, and maybe get around backwards here. You need on the flat part of the racetrack.
Right there, the sun's shining. Right where those guys are standing, you know the sun is out. Right. Bring it on.
Stop dancing, guys. You did your job, looks like. As you can see there, it is coming down.
The next time a major drought hits the grainlands of Mid-America, we're sending Jack Roush, who owns Mark Martin's car and owns the car that, and there's the pace car motioning the drivers down off the banking, down to the apron, and they're going to bring them around.
Mike, the one thing you have to remember, you have to be in position to take advantage of these type of situations. And they were leading, and they were running first and second, both cars.
And I suspect we'll see the red flag when they come around this time.
Yeah, that's getting a little slick. As we said early in the race, these are slick tires. They don't have grooves on them. And even as slow as they're running right there, those things are a handful running around here with those slicks on.
Yeah, Mark Martin throwing up a rooster tail. Now, when the umbrella comes out on the starter's stand, that is not a flag signal, folks. It's got all the right colors. But when that cut one comes up, the yellow flag's out, and the red is not going to be too far behind it, I don't think.
Now, I'll be surprised if they don't throw the red. They're coming down pit road. Now, pit road has been closed.
Now, there's an official out in the middle at start-finish net that's going to hold them.
Yeah, they're out there ready now. That's one reason we had not seen pit stops is because pit road had been closed. And so there you see the sign right here that pit road is closed, but they're being led down pit road by the pace car, and they'll take them down to the end of pit road.
All they're telling them they can't go into the pit stall itself. They're going to bring them down pit road, but they'll stop them almost in turn 1 down there.
Well, also there was some cleanup work going on up at the track entrance, and so now the pace car is coming to a halt, and the tarps have gone over the pit stalls themselves, and that may be for naught. A lot of flashing lights down there.
Now, they'll allow 2 men to go out with the car cover to put over the cars while they are under the red flag condition.
That or some of the drivers say, you know, help me with the radios. I want to take my helmet off and sit here. They'll unhook them just enough to sit there and wait and see what's going to happen. I can tell you right now, that is a big rainstorm. I think we've seen the last of the racing today, but you never know.
And for tomorrow, what about happy hour, last practice for the Winston Cup drivers?
Yeah, if they don't get any this afternoon, we had a lot of cars that re-qualified in second round qualifying today, and those cars got no practice on race setup. Now, those that made the top 25 yesterday, they had a 1-hour practice session this morning on race setup. But for those that re-qualified, they're going to be at a big disadvantage.
See, I'm putting the tarps over the cars there. You don't want water running into the backside of the carburetors there. Where you take the air in at the back of the hood, right about in that area right there. You don't want water running into the air cleaner there and maybe giving you a problem when you start back up.
Randy LaJoie is being shown in 17th position. That's car number 1. He's a lap down.
At Texas Motor Speedway, rain falls again. We'll be right back. Brought Welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway. Not very speedy right now as we are stopped under the red flag for rain. The first official red flag stoppage today. It took a couple of hours to get this race started with the showers this morning. As you look back through the way they're running, all of these cars back through 13th position are on the lead lap. After Elton Sawyer in 12th, Jeff Gordon's the last car on the lead lap. And here are cars one lap down. Labonte, Benson, and Roper in what has been a very, very strange day. There's Matt Kenseth, who dominated here and now finds himself only one lap down in 18th position. There are still, 35 cars running.
Mike Dillon back in 28th position as we continue to look on through the field.
Red flag brought out here for a hard rain about 10 minutes ago, which now appears to have almost stopped, but the track is soaked. Dick Berggren.
Oh, it really is. And you know, about a week or so ago, Roush Racing put out a press release in which each of their drivers talked about the most bizarre race that they had ever won. If you win this thing, it's going to rank right up there, isn't it? What's going on today?
Well, the outside lane is really tough on the restarts, and those guys are trying to get their laps back, and everything's going crazy. We just didn't get any green flag there at the end, but, if it works out, I figure we're lucky. You know, Matt had everybody covered today. Man, he was gone, and it broke my heart to see him have trouble. But he's a true champion and going to show us a lot in the future. And then one Jeff got by me on one restart, and the other Jeff just about got by me on the other one. But if we get back green, we'll be in good shape. We've got the race car to do the job, I think, with the Winn-Dixie car.
Do you want to see it go green, or are you perfectly happy to end it right now?
I'm fine either way. I think we're in pretty good shape. We've got a really great race car right now. Of course, it seems like a full moon. Something seems to be happening every time, but restarting on the front row of the outside is way better than second or third back there because the scramble is just pretty crazy.
And last week, your teammate, Jeff Burton, who right now is in second spot, won at Darlington, won the Winston Cup race, in part due to the rain. I thought you were supposed to win all these things in the rain. What's going on?
Well, if we'd have won today's race, we would have been arrested for grand larceny because we didn't deserve to win this race. Track gear forward was good, but, Matt and Mark just were the class of the field. They just pretty much left everybody. We just never really got the hang of it.
How is it that Roush has got two cars right up in the front like this? I mean, it's tough competition, Jeff.
It really is tough competition. The Busch Series is really difficult to win in. It's difficult to qualify for these races. We've got great people. We've got great machines. We put a lot of effort in the Busch program. We don't run this Busch program like a part-time deal. We run it like a full-time deal, and we put a lot of effort and a lot of energy to it.
And these two drivers are best of friends and admire each other enormously. Terrell Shaheen.
Dick, one driver who's done a tremendous job here today is Jeff Green. You had a sick motor and no third gear. How are you driving that car so fast?
Tribute my crew chief, Harold Holly, and all the guys. They put a setup on this thing where I could run it basically wide open all day. And, I mean, it stayed there under me. And I don't know if something happened to the motor. It wouldn't start there when I tried to restart it there when it started raining. So maybe the battery's down. It just like it's run on 7.5 cylinders, and then I jerked third gear out of it. So the restarts was killing me, so I was wanting this rain about 5 or 6.
Green will be credited with the third-place finish. Bill Stevens?
I'm with Jeff Gordon. After the day you had today, are you reconsidering running these Busch races?
Hey, I'm having fun. We unfortunately got caught under that caution, and we got pushed back there a little bit because we got back on the lead lap, and, those guys went into turn one and got a little sideways, and it was getting pretty wild out there. I didn't want to be in that position, but I didn't have a choice, if we were going to get forward.
The car been a problem early this week. I know that Ray was working hard on getting the tune-up right on it and getting the car to handle. How is it feeling toward the middle of the race?
I'm a little bit tight on the longer runs. The Mark and the 60 car and 17 car had us covered. I mean, I couldn't do anything with them. New tires, old tires anyway. But we were looking pretty good there in third.
Tell me about that last incident. How did it actually happen?
It looked like the 4 car got loose going into 1. And the 3 car checked up, I checked up, and the 19 car tried to check up, and he got into the back of me, and all of a sudden we were all in a big crash. And, I thought I was going to save it there for a second. I knew I was going too fast, and I was far too sideways to be able to save it.
What do you think about tomorrow? What are your thoughts right now?
I'm really excited about our efforts tomorrow. And the practice this morning, the car was really, really good, and we finally got qualified up towards the front here at Texas, so hopefully we'll have a good run.
No happy hour, a concern?
Well, I don't know what's going to happen with this rain. It doesn't look really good, and like I said, this morning went really well, and we have to make adjustments on all day tomorrow anyway.
Jeff Gordon still smiling after a whale of a day, Mike.
It's been quite a day here. Perhaps the bizarreness of Mark Martin's win may somewhat overcome what happened to him at Bristol Raceway in 1994. He was leading the race under caution with a lap to go and mistakenly pulled into victory lane 1 lap shy of the finish. Now, certainly this cannot erase that memory, but sometimes luck is with you, and he had to be good to get in that position, but Mark Martin is leading this race under the red flag and had quite a chore to do to get there.
Yeah, he has been good all day long, but as he said in the interview there, that Matt Kenseth had him covered today until he made a green flag pit stop. Caution comes out a few laps later, and he's trying to make a lap up and made a mistake. He admitted to his crew that he made a mistake coming off of turn 4 and banged the race car up and never did get back on the lead lap.
You know, you were just talking about Mark Martin pulling in 1 lap early at Bristol that one time, but he is the winningest driver in Busch Grand National of all time, so it wasn't like he lucked into anything today.
No, you make your own luck here. Ralph?
Mike, one driver that was coming awfully strong at the end of this race, but quietly, was Mike McLaughlin. Now, you're all the way up to 4th if we restart this race. Is your car strong enough to catch the 3 in front of you?
I don't know if it's quick enough to win the race, but considering where we started this weekend, one of the slowest cars here, everybody on this team's done a good job working on this Goulds Pump Chevrolet and end up 4th. I'd like to see it go. I think we can pick up a few spots, but I don't know. It's not looking too good right now.
Where did you find the speed all of a sudden?
Just race adjustments, wedge, air pressure, and good pit stops. They've done a good job in the pit stops all day, and track position's important everywhere we go.
Mike McLaughlin, Mike Joyce sits 4th right now.
That he does. Let's go to Ken Squire.
Well, the auditorium here in the media center will become the Victory Theater, and for the 89 seats here, it becomes the best seat in the house, because whoever wins today with the rains coming down will find themselves here on the stage. So stay with us. We'll have a winner before too long at the Texas Motor Speedway in the 3rd running of the Coca-Cola 300.
Welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway. The rain has stopped. The sky is lighting up here, but you can see how wet that racetrack is. Tomorrow on CBS Sports, the Texas 500 pre-race coverage begins at 1:30 Eastern Time. Kenny Irwin and Bobby Labonte will share the front row, a Ford and a Pontiac, to bring them down to the green flag. Let's go to Bill Stevens.
I'm with Ken Schrader. Qualified aids, if this sticks, you'll finish 7th, and you told me 163 laps for 1 position.
Yeah, it took that long to pass that one guy. Tell you what, this is our 4th Busch race this year in the Oakwood Homes car, and we've struggled. You know, we had a good run Daytona and broke, and 1 crash and 1 18th. So right now, we'll take a 7th.
What was the track like today? We heard so much about the improvements, about the rain, the coolness.
Track's definitely better than it was last year. It's still pretty tight. The second groove was starting to come in, but the guy on the inside's got to work with you. So it's still, we'll see. After about halfway tomorrow, we'll see a lot more side-by-side racing.
Do you have any more in the car? Maybe pick up another place or 2?
Yeah, I'd kind of like to, but I don't know if everything's going to cooperate with us. I don't think there's a couple up there we can maybe get, but there's a couple behind us can get us too.
Some bad hombres out there. Let's go back to Mike.
Ken Schrader up 1 spot. Mark Martin led 5 times for 21 laps so far today. Kenseth twice for 127 laps. We'll be right back to Texas after this. Welcome back to Texas. I said earlier that 4 Bodines tried to qualify for this race, wondered if it was a record. Greg Fielden's research files, are older than dirt. And he reminds me that Tim, Bob, and Fondy, the Flock brothers, raced in NASCAR. I remember that, but I forgot about their sister, Ethel Flock Mobley, made 4 Flocks in one race.
Yep, they were one of the original racing families in NASCAR.
Yes. Let's check with Ralph Shaheen.
Well, Mike, they say that Dale Earnhardt Jr. is one tough racer. I'll tell you what, he's one tough guy with his peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, because he's got 2, and he won't free one up for us over here. But you fought real hard today to get yourself back into the top 10. Tell me about this crash over here that's knocked the car sideways on you.
Well, we was back on the lead lap. Fortunately, Tony and Tony Jr. helped us kind of strategize our way back toward the front of the pack, and we were trying to get up toward the front where we hadn't been all day, and went down in the corner, and a couple guys checked up, and I got off the gas and on the brakes just a little bit, trying not to spin myself out. You just jam the brakes pretty hard. Going at that speed, you're going to spin out and crash, but we ended up doing that anyways. I felt a couple cars getting in the back of me, and I got into the guy in front of me and just kind of spun us all out. It's a shame. We had a good race car, but we kind of dented it up a little bit in practice. Some of them Winston Cup veterans were showing us how to get around here. We ended up tearing the side off the car, so we was going to put sides on it anyway. So ain't no big deal about the body. We just hate we couldn't race home and maybe finish a little better than that.
Safe to say you're the one guy here who does not want to see this thing go back to green?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I hate it that it's rained out for the race fans, because when I come watch a race, I want to see the whole thing and see them guys go down to the wire. But to be honest with you, it would be in our favor for it to go ahead and cancel out, since we are sitting there on the pit road tore up and sitting in 10th spot. So if we go back to green, we're going to definitely lose a lot of laps.
It looked like he hit pretty hard here. How hard was that impact?
It wasn't that bad, but it don't matter. I mean, it's hard enough to tear up a race car, and that's all. We can heal bones, but it's a shame to tear up in race cars. Them guys work awful hard at it.
In this 10th place, if you can finish like this today, that's got to be a real big boost towards another championship.
Yeah, not the boost we'd like. I mean, we won one race here last year, but I tell you, the field was much tougher this year with the addition of a few Winston Cup veterans and a couple more competitive Busch teams than we had last year. So it was definitely stronger each week, and these guys are figuring it out, and we're going to have to get our stuff together if we're going to, win this championship, and we're pretty determined to do it.
Did that little statue help you today?
Little statue?
Of your dad?
Yeah. We just don't, when we come down here a day ahead of time and we aren't around here with the Winston Cup teams, we get a day to ourselves to practice. We never try to forget what's important, and that's Dad. He's always bearing down on us, trying to keep us going 110%. So we just put that in there as a little reminder when he's down here a day early.
All right, go enjoy that sandwich. Dale Earnhardt Jr.
There's the little statue inside the car, and there was a little joking going on after happy hour and after he got together with Matt Kenseth, that when the car came in, the little statue had its hands over its eyes and didn't want to see what was going to happen next. Dick Bergeron.
Well, Matt Kenseth is behind us in the truck, and he has declined the opportunity for conversation, but he has talked to the boss, his car owner, Robbie Reiser. What did he tell you happened out there?
Well, just one of those deals. We got a quality race team here with the Wall-Tool Chevrolet and an excellent quality race car driver in Matt Kenseth. And just one of those things. We got caught on the green flag stop there, and Matt was trying his best to get her back on the lead lap, and just made a mistake coming off from 4, and just one of those deals. We didn't know where the cars were. It was just a communication problem between him and the spotter, and he didn't know where they were. And when he got off 4, he first saw them, and that's just the way it went. And we had a quality race car, and I mean, I can't say enough about Matt Kenseth. He is a great race car driver, and I love every minute of working with him. And we'll, as a race team, we'll grow through this, and we'll be all right next week. We'll be back.
If this race goes green again, what's his frame of mind to finish it?
Determined. I think if we can get a shot at this thing and stay, now that we got the car fixed, we can stay out there and maybe get our lap back and maybe come back and win this thing. There's still 40 laps here to go, so don't count us out.
They never give up. To Bill Stevens.
I'm with Tim Fiedler right here. You qualified 41st. On the board, you're 21st. I'll bet that's the toughest you've ever had to work for 20 spots.
It's an improvement. We've worked hard all weekend, had some misfortunes. It's just been one of them weekends. Everything that could go wrong went wrong, but we're still fighting. We got a great sponsor with Stanley and a great bunch of guys. It's just we'll take it. We're going to see what happens with this weather and everything, but been had a couple close calls out there today and have avoided them so far. We ain't hit nothing yet, so it's been a good day. The way our luck's been going, I'm surprised.
Guys, one of the Busch regulars going toe-to-toe with the Cup guys today here in Texas.
The track is wet here. Now, this rain is supposed to move out before tomorrow. They are set to try to dry the track here if NASCAR decides that that's the course of action they want to take. There is no track drying equipment on the speedway right now, and you can see just how very, very wet it is. And for those Winston Cup drivers, if they don't get a last practice and they get a green racetrack, I bet, Ned, they'll be over in the Busch garage talking to some of those drivers and finding out what they did to adapt to similar conditions today.
Yeah, they could do it. Here, this guy, he's got a little too much wedge in that right front heel there.
Now, did you ever meet a kid in a puddle that didn't get along?
Isn't he having fun? He wants to get his left foot equal to his right foot. Uh-oh, that didn't work.
You just brought up something, though. Ned and I were talking just a second ago. Jeffrey Bodine, and so many guys had to go out today, and they really hadn't had a chance to set their car up to handle for tomorrow. That's going to be a little bit of a problem for them, I think.
All the practice that they've had since they've been here this week has been in qualifying mode. They had to get into the race and then expecting the happy hour, and if they don't get that this evening, it will be a hit or miss situation for them.
Except for this morning's practice session, all of that was in bright sun and warm weather. So some of the Busch cars out of the race, like the 56 and Jeff Krogh, getting loaded up for the trip to Nashville, where CBS Sports will have coverage of the Nashville 320 next Saturday afternoon for you. And many of these fans exiting the speedway and going to come back tomorrow when the house will be packed.
Yes, that is not red tulips right there. Those are taillights leaving Texas Speedway.
Tomorrow on CBS Sports, the Texas 500 pre-race coverage begins at 1:30 Eastern Time. Kenny Irwin leads Bobby Labonte, Steve Park, and Terry Labonte to the checkered flag. We're going to conclude our coverage from Texas at this time. If anything further develops on the speedway, we'll be back here on TNN to bring it to you. Here's how they're running right now under this red flag with officially 37 laps to go. On the East Coast, you'll see Roller Jam. On the West Coast, regularly scheduled TNN programming. And if this race restarts, we'll be back here to Texas. What a day of weather, what a day of racing.
Bay City Bombers, watch out!
For Dick Berger, Ralph Shaheen, Bill Stevens, and Ken Squire, Ned Jarrett, and Buddy Baker, I'm Mike Joy from the Texas Motor Speedway.